Hi, Shane. It's been about 6 months since we last spoke. The first thing I'd like you to do is just introduce yourself and remind us why today is a slightly special day for you.
Yeah, I'm Shane Leonage. I'm a performance data scientist, and I get to work on the teams of a number of players. But today, two of the players that we've been working with for a number of years, actually, Ons Jabeur and Arina Sabalenka, they're playing off in a semi-final at Wimbledon today.
And how do you deal with that, Shane? So normally, of course, you'd be giving them data on each other and themselves, etc., etc. But of course, with Sabalenka playing Jabeur today, what is the philosophy that you provide them with, if you like, Shane?
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of the analysis and the reports, that stays very much the same. So both teams will get access to data on each other, video of each other, and recommendations on how to play the match. We have a conflict management process where when two of our clients play, they actually have a choice whether to use two different analysts on my team. So my company, Data Driven Sports Analytics, we've got a number of analysts that do the work. They've both chosen to stick with me as part of the analysis, but at the end of the match, they're allowed to see the report that the other side gets. So they've played a number of times. So this is, I guess, another instance of when they're playing against each other. It's not easy, but I think we've dealt with it really well, and both teams actually get along really well. So they understand the situation.
Shane, is there something that you would withhold, though, specifically from each player that normally, under a normal circumstance, you would give them?
Not really. I think the analysis, we try and still give absolutely everything available to them as if it was another match. The one caveat is if there was particular match video or data that we could only get as part of our credential with one of the teams, or through the login of one of the teams, which wasn't publicly available, then we exclude that data because we feel like that was a confidential access to data for a specific purpose only. But if the data is available publicly, or we're able to get it through other sources, then we provide that data to both teams.
Got it. Let's switch to the first semi-final, which is between Svitolina and Vondrousova. How do you see that one panning out, and where will it be won and lost, do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting semi-final. Both obviously very capable players. I think very capable, but still, it would. I think most people would say it is a surprise semi-final. But if you've watched, the rounds, they're both, definitely earned their way in there. Where I think it'd be won and lost, it's a tricky one. So Svitolina from the baseline has been able to outlast everyone, including Iga the other day. So yeah. I think for Vondrousova, it's going to be really important for her to maximize the damage early in the rally, because she doesn't want to be drawn into really long, lengthy rallies with Svitolina, who's showed she can match it with anyone, once the rallies are over 5-6 shots in length.
I guess, Shane, because you're going to have a finalist, you will be a bit keener than normal to keep an eye on that other semi-final, and I guess you'll be preparing data for the final as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, we've already all their matches up until this point for both of those players. We've run through our tracking system. We've got the relevant data. It's just going to be adding the semi-final data to it. But we obviously have two very different players in Ons and Arina. So tactically, whoever wins, it'll be a different style of match required to win. Again, yes, we've done a lot of the work, but I think a lot of the work will have to depend on whoever wins out of Ons and Arina, and then we use the data specific to their game to try and come up with a winning plan for the final.
When you know this situation, for example, and you're going to be playing X player in the next, or you're going to be playing one of two players in the next round, do you secretly inside you cheer on a certain player because you think the matchup would work better for your player, or are you a neutral observer still?
Yeah, actually, you do. You naturally you have a feeling or a gut feeling, or the data that you've looked at says particular matchup is better. so naturally, yes, there's probably a preference. I'm not going to say who, but
Sure.
but having said that, I've also been brought out where I've wanted a particular player to win, and they've ended up winning, and they've ended up defeating the player I was working with. So I also know each match is different. You've got to prepare for that opponent on that day, factoring in specific things like the weather on the day, the surface. All of those things are variables on the day. So yeah.
Shane, wonderful to have you on board again, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon. Thanks very much, and try to enjoy the day.
I will. Thanks. See you later.
Thanks, bye. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks, including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material, such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered. Whether that be via our website, talking-tennis.com, where you can read features and interviews from our top writers.
For what feels like 2 straight days.
Or if you prefer us in audio form, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll probably be waiting a very long time. At this point,
remember, we offer you wall-to-wall coverage via our regular watch-alongs, magazine shows such as Nick's WTA Weekly or Damien and Mario's ATP version. Plus, we deliver top content from people on the ground, actually at the tournaments, so you get even nearer to the action. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.
Well, you say that. I mean, yeah, as Ghost is pointing out in the chat, Fred Perry was a little bit of a working class hero, actually. Obviously, he got his clothing line after he won Wimbledon and he did some money turning pro. But yeah, he's the fact that he was beating all the other British players and also various international players didn't necessarily go down well with the All England club at the time. But he was still the best British player and probably, I would say, the second best British player of all time after Mr. Andy Murray. Definitely the best English player of all time.
Yeah, I'm glad you finished with Andy Murray there. But yeah. No, what I mean is, how much is a Fred Perry like polo shirt these days?
Oh, I've no idea.
So as I say, this is a lot cheaper than I think 40, 50 pounds.
Have you seen the way that I dress, Tom? I'm not a stylish man.
I think you are. I think you're underselling yourself there, Nick. I think the hoodie and t-shirt look is still rocking it. So
well, we'll go with that. I might have to take the hoodie off because it's getting warmer than I expected.
Back to the tennis.
Back to the tennis, indeed. So yes, the last ball has dropped on centre court. There is some action still going on around the grounds, mostly in the juniors. I actually have on my screen the match involving Hannah Klugman and Isabel Lacey, which are two British hopes that are causing a bit of a stir in some sort of amongst home fans. But let's talk about what just happened, because I think we still probably need to digest the fact that Carlos Alcaraz just beat Holger Rune in straight sets. What was your take on that one? Does it live up to the hype?
No, shortly. I mean, look, I like these two young guys, and when the draw was made, a couple of days before it all kicked off, we all do it as tennis fans. We all go, right, what are the various different scenarios that could emerge, and this one was one that I was looking forward to, like particularly. This is the one that I penciled out. I've mentioned before trying to convert friends and partner to tennis, and this was one of the ones I was texting early today going, listen guys, if yous aren't working or whatever, get this match on. And now they're going, texting me and going, was that it? Is that what you were trying to hype up about? To be fair, in terms of Alcaraz and Rune, I think the last time, am I right in saying the last time they met was when Alcaraz pulled out last year in the semi-final? I don't think it was Paris. I think it was the one before that, Paris-Bercy. It was maybe the Swiss. Was it in Basel?
No, I think it was the Paris-Bercy tournament Alcaraz withdrew from.
Was it in the semi-final when he was a set down?
I'll check it.
So, I mean, yeah, I've just clocked that comment about it's all kicked off. So yeah, listen, I look forward to this one. It didn't live up to the hype. Even as watched the first couple of games, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think Rune is going to be able to damage him. Is going to be able to cause him too much problems. I actually now think about it. Think before the Berrettini match, I was actually more worried about Berrettini causing Alcaraz problems than I was Holger Rune. And this is Berrettini with no form whatsoever. But I just didn't feel it today. And I don't know if that's a sense of my kind of expectation. And you know what? We're all here for opinions, but my expectation, my hope for Rune has probably dipped slightly now. I know it's grass. I know it's not his favourite surface. But, after that Djokovic final at the end of last year, I'm thinking this guy is going to 2023 it the way that Alcaraz is 2022 it. And, for a number of reasons, he's got the finals, he's won tournaments. But for something about me, I don't know if he's going to get to that level, Alcaraz. So yeah, it was a disappointing match. There wasn't a lot of breaks of serve. Alcaraz took his chances when they appeared. I kind of felt in the first set, both players were looking at like 15-30, love 30 on their serve, and then bringing it back. So there wasn't really too much, break point chances. And I mean, it was a bit of a stalemate the first set. I think they were at 3-3 in the tie break, and the BBC were showing a stat that they'd won 41 points each. So so at that point, you're just thinking who has played these types of scenarios better. And of course, Alcaraz is what 9 titles as a teenager, already a Grand Slam champion. He's played in the big moments. Holger Rune has been known to not handle the pressure moments. Sometimes on occasion can kind of lose the mentality of the rag a bit. So I didn't see any problems for Alcaraz, and it was a bit of as John said, it was a bit of a damp squib, wasn't it?
I would like, John, I don't know if you can get the tweet up from Bastian saying that in that first set, Alcaraz had to dig himself out of trouble a fair bit to win it. Now, given they won 41 points each, and sort of my memory of that first set, I think that Rune would have also had to dig himself out of trouble a fair bit as well. So I think that first set was very competitive, at least, or very close. I think what kind of surprised me a little bit, there you go, that's the tweet. The Alcaraz did have to fight, and he really, you could tell from his celebration on winning the first set how hard he had to fight for it. I was expecting a lot more baseline battles, a lot of movements around the court. That's what I've come to expect from these players. They're sort of almost both kind of Djokovic, Rafa-esque players, but it was a very serve-dominated affair, and actually both were attempting serve volley a fair bit. I think, obviously, you're right. Alcaraz did have the edge today. I'm still optimistic that this rival is going to kick off. By the way, that match they played was in Paris. It was the quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal, right? Okay.
And Alcaraz retired before they could play a second set tiebreak.
Yeah.
But I think, I was skeptical about it going 5. I thought it might go 4, but I did wonder, and I don't know whether that's something that you would think maybe played a part in this match, that Holger Rune had the physically tougher path through, given he went 5 with Davidovich Fokina and a tough 4 with Grigor Dimitrov, and maybe that caught up with him today.
Yeah, no, it certainly did towards the end of that third, no doubt about that. And I think it all hinged, if he was to have a chance, he had to take that tiebreak in the first set. That was really his only hope to kind of, then, let's be honest, I take Bastian's point about him having to dig deep. In that, there's only one break point, and it's in the very first service game. So you could argue, yes, he has done. And as I alluded to, both players were often in the first set finding themselves 15-30 or love 30 down, and then they were winning. They were basically winning the next 3 points, like you say, strong service performance by both. And it wasn't as if there was too much kind of, the types of games where there's a lot of deuces, a lot of back and forth. It was pretty much slow start to the service game, get their act together, win the service game. However, to kind of counter that of what I'm saying, you know, if you remember back to the French Open semi-final with Djokovic with Alcaraz, and it was quite apparent, and obviously we found out later it was because of the nerves. He was quite animated. Now Alcaraz doesn't really get that frustrated and animated, and there was a point in that first set, I think it was around about 4-4 where Alcaraz was verbal towards his box, and he was sitting there having a dig, having a moan at his game and his level. And at that point, I'm sitting there going, okay, we know how it ended up last time. We've got a question about nerves in certain stages. You know, this is the first Wimbledon quarter. Well, not first Wimbledon for him, but the chance to get a first Wimbledon semi-final. Is this maybe repeating itself a little bit? I saw signs in that first set, but you know, he proved me wrong. I think that to answer your point, Holger Rune, the longer sets and the longer matches did catch up with him. And certainly in that third set, I noticed it. I mean, obviously we were at what 4-4, 4-5, I think. 4-4, and then in the second set, and then Alcaraz nicked it effectively. But yeah, I think for Holger Rune to have a chance there, I just think he had to win that first set tiebreak, and he just wasn't really in it. You know, like I think Alcaraz got the mini break quite early. Holger Rune broke the mini break back, and then Alcaraz then got. I think it was 4-2 potentially. So yeah, I think if Holger Rune just had to win that first set and hope that, you know, the pressure and the occasion maybe got to Alcaraz. I just don't see the all-action game so far. I think he's maybe a year, to answer your point. I know you're saying you still hold out hope that this will be the rivalry of the future. I just think if it was going to be that, it might be one of these rivalries where Alcaraz dominates. Because I think right now he's probably a year. I know they're the same age, but I think Alcaraz is right now is maybe a year, 2 years ahead of him.
Yeah, that's probably, I mean, like physically, yeah, in terms of development. I certainly sometimes think that Rune, I think Rune does seem to develop his game a little bit. I mean, he's very dynamic. He's a very competent baseliner, very confident getting to net. But I don't know, I'm watching him, and he feels a little bit Djokovic-esque to me watching him, to be honest. I don't know if you see some similarities in sort of he's quite happy to kind of rally. He doesn't necessarily hit deep every shot, but he's very effective when he needs to be.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment. And I think with Alcaraz as well, I mean, you talk about Holger's, you know, his speed, his agility, and I think Alcaraz, I think now you've mentioned that, I think that was one of the frustrations. I think Alcaraz is, you know, he likes the drop shot. I think he's still working out the drop shot in grass. Like, you know, he's trying it maybe too often because a lot of in the past, you know, especially on clay, these drop shots are literally going over the net by millimeters and stopping dead. And it just seems with the drop shot, they haven't really been working as much. I mean, he hasn't been sailing through, but he's been winning eventually quite comfortably. But I think he's still trying to work out those drop shots. And I think a couple of times he tried the slice backhand drop shot or even the forehand slice. And Rune was getting up to it early in the first set, and I think that's maybe where the frustration was coming. So, yeah, I mean, I think I don't know where Holger goes. I mean, he's still very young, and I'm not writing him off by any means. And maybe I'm just basically been spoiled by the fact that at 19 Alcaraz was so good, and maybe I'm expecting that from every 19, 20-year-old now. And so maybe I'm unfairly comparing the two. But yeah, I wonder, you know. I'm just maybe not I'm not feeling it from Holger Rune right now where he can. I thought he was going to go and blast people off the court when I saw it, you know, at the tail end of last year in the indoor in Paris, and I've just not seen it this year. So yeah, there's a lot of work to go. I know you talk about physically, but I was thinking that watching that, I was like, this is a battle of, like, you know, the quad muscles. Both of them have got huge legs. When you look at the other station, and we'll come on to it. When you're looking at Christopher Eubanks and his build compared to these two guys in centre court, I was just like, whoa, because he's slender, that boy.
Oh, Medvedev as well, right?
Well, of course, yeah, of course. So you're seeing the two, Medvedev and Eubanks in one court, and then the other two in the other court. You're just looking, look at the difference here.
And yet, and then it ended up being the skinny ones who did the longer match. But
the more entertaining match as well, of course.
I think, I didn't see many sort of. I think the other thing about the Alcaraz Rune match that didn't quite deliver was there weren't as many epic rallies between the two, which again, their sort of physicality and their movement-based games you would kind of expect. But maybe
more
that
in
is
the
down to
Berrettini.
Rune just trying to conserve some energy, and maybe if we saw them sort of when, as I said, things have developed a little bit with their games, it's going to be a little bit more epic, a la what we've been getting with Alcaraz and Sinner. We've obviously been talking about where Rune goes. I mean, where does Alcaraz go? Because Alcaraz, is he looking as good on grass as you thought he would, or better?
No, he's listen, I don't know if it's better, but I was confident that he could take his game onto the grass, and be a big time player. Now, when I say big time player, the big question is, can he take Djokovic in grass? That's what you're really asking, because his game is more than likely going to, because of his talent, he's more than likely going to beat most players over a 5-set match in grass. So it's whether or not he can win that ultimate past that ultimate test, which is Djokovic in grass, and which is we're getting closer to that. I did expect it. I mean, I watched him at Queens. I watched him quite intensely in Queens because I wanted to find out. I knew that I would potentially be talking on platforms like this, and I wanted to see if I could see the game there. And I just think he's got so much talent. He has worked it out. I think you look at the Berrettini match, some of the ground strokes. He's setting the points up. He likes to kind of set that like inside out forehand. Some of the shots. I mean, he's been pretty much in, if not one of the top 5, the shots of the day in every match that he's been playing, that Wimbledon would been featured, because he's just so good. So I mean, I don't know if you differ from that, if he has brought the game to grass, but I think he's on the right trajectory for me.
I think he's matching my very, very high expectations. I always thought Alcaraz on grass was going to be a force. I thought that despite what happened last year with Jannik Sinner, I just thought that was Jannik Sinner having an amazing day.
Yeah. Okay.
And also another young player who's showing that they can play their best on grass. So with that in mind, I kind of expected Alcaraz to be great again. Like the drop shot, critical on grass. The serve works really well. The versatility of his game, it all should fit together. So the Queen's win was not a surprise. The fact that he has, got his way through the draw to the semi-finals with aplomb is no surprise to me. So, but I know there were some people doubting at one point.
I think what's quite telling, and obviously we're looking back in hindsight, but I go back. Was it Rinderknecht? He was playing in Queens, and he was a set down in the first round. I just wonder, you look at a warm-up event and you say, it's just a warm-up event. But he came back from that match and he went on to win that tournament. So it was an extra 4 matches that he played on grass. And I just wonder, we just look at the minuscule margins, and I just wonder these 4 matches coming into this event have helped him. I mean, he's not had the hardest draw, obviously, by being the number 1 seed, but he's playing an informed, I say informed, but a rejuvenized Berrettini who, when I watched him against Zverev, I was like, what is going on? This is like 2021 Berrettini. He blasted Zverev off the court. And so, I mean, he has had challenges. There has been challenges. There hasn't been a smooth run. I mean, I think was it Jarry? I mean, again, a great test for him. It was like the perfect match for him, because this was a guy, Nicholas Jarry he played?
Third round. Yeah, Jarry threw a lot of crazy stuff at him that he had to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that kind of stuff has been setting him up. It's like, and I'm not poo-pooing Jarry at all. I'm just saying, you look at football and they have the pre-season friendlies to try and get them ready for the big test. And I don't know if these matches, the Queen's matches, the Queen's run, the previous rounds matches are now, he's building momentum now, and he's getting confident and more confident with every match.
I think he is. I think playing a good warm-up tournament, like getting at least a couple of wins under your belt, is necessary preparation before, whether it's on clay or grass or American hard. You kind of need that, but it's kind of critical on grass, particularly given how little they play on it. And I think also Queen's Club, is probably the best grass court preparation tournament for the men.
Yeah,
I
fair
would
enough.
say.
Yeah, fair comment. Yeah, I mean, you would say more so because I know a lot of the top players obviously go to Hala, but
yeah, Hala's a quicker pace than Queens. I think they've got bigger facilities, which is probably why a lot of the top players go there. But they also, the grass is quicker there than Wimbledon, so that's why you have this Hala curse.
Yeah, of course. Well, I was going to say, why do more players not, when they have that choice? And I know that there's incentives to play in different events, but you just wonder, looking at historically players, why they don't consider that and, think about, right, the conditions to Queens and conditions of Wimbledon, they're going to be more similar than Germany and London. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think some of it is to do with the fact that probably Russian players don't feel very welcome over in the UK. So maybe they're kind of avoiding the UK tournaments. And we've obviously got at least a couple of Russians in the top 10. Djokovic doesn't really play any warm-ups because he doesn't need to. So really it then comes down to personal preference. We did obviously get a few top 10ers coming to Queens this year. Alcaraz and Rune, look how well they did. Compared to, I think the only Halle player left is Yannick Sinner. But the others are... the others are a bit of a, and yeah, Casper Ruud, of course, doesn't need to get a grass court warm up in either. But yeah, so I think I would err on that, but it did depend on what they're being offered. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting more and more players coming over, especially given we've seen Berrettini doing well at Queens, and doing well at Wimbledon.
Andy Murray in the past.
Murray, I mean, look at the other Queens champions, Feliciano Lopez.
Did Nadal do the double? I think
he did. Nadal and Murray are the only players in recent years to have done the double. Right. But then, of course, no one else had the big fours won Wimbledon for the last 20 years.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, Berrettini, Dimitrov as well. That's a player who did well. Sam Querrey back in the day.
Pickleball, Sam Querrey.
Yes. Right. Speaking of tournament warm-ups, I have to say that traditionally Mallorca has not been a very good grass court warm-up. The champions there very rarely go on to do well at Wimbledon. It's very, very different conditions to Wimbledon, or even further off than Halle. However, the Mallorca champion, Chris Eubanks, was a tiebreak away from reaching the Wimbledon semi-finals, and I could not believe what I was watching at that point.
No, I mean,
that, Tom?
Well, so listen, it was just like I said to you at the start of the day, looking forward to the two ladies quarterfinals. I think they're looking good. To me, the Medvedev Eubanks match was the kind of least watchable, like in terms of the competitiveness of it. But and then after, I mean, I was trying to kind of keep on top of everything. I've been trying to take tips from you and making sure I've got screens everywhere in my house. But then, so I watched the first set. I thought, okay, this is going to be, coast. It's going to coast. It's just a level too far for Chris Eubanks. And then, you follow the score. You look at the second set. I mean, that second set that he played, that was one of the most one-sided sets of tennis, and he was. There's so many thoughts were going through my head. I watched the third set as well, and I'm thinking, I don't know how Medvedev is going to come back from this. I just couldn't work out because it looked as if he's talked about his punditry before Eubanks, all right? And I mentioned it when we were on the stream a couple of nights ago. How I'm sure I've seen a quote somewhere where he said that he's been using when he's in tight spots in matches to think about, okay, what would I be like commentating, or what would I be suggesting if I was watching my match right now? And he basically takes his kind of tips from that and works out how to problem solve mid-match, because he thinks, right, what would I be doing my punditry with right now?
Wow.
And it looked as if he'd done that and thought, and I was wondering, I wonder if he did punditry when Kyrgios played Medvedev, and he basically just serve volleyed him off the court, because like for two sets, Medvedev, every return was just a serve volley. I think there was a point where it was something like 27 out of 30 serve volley points Eubanks had won, and it was across 4 or 5 games. Obviously, then you had Medvedev losing the plot a little bit. And fair play to him for staying in it mentally. I mean, he was getting quite animated with the umpire. There was the incident with the hitting the ball and potentially hitting the camera woman, which we can come to as well. But I think Medvedev did really well to stay in there. It was an amazing match in terms of Eubanks. I didn't know. I mean, I've not watched a lot of him before, but he did so well to keep the crowd going. He was applauding crowd members when they were catching the ball. He was like fist pumping even when he was 5-1 down in the fifth set. But I think what I took from the game was Medvedev. I think he's got a very and you guys may have spoke about it before, but I think Medvedev's serve is very underrated, and I think Medvedev basically just got his eye in with the serve, and that's how he basically managed to build momentum again in the fourth set. He basically said to himself, "I'm just going to win my service game here, and if I get anything of the Eubanks serve, I'll take it. And if this has to go to a tiebreak here, I'll take it, because in the fifth set, I don't think this guy can play this level." And that's what worked out. He's a smart guy, Medvedev, but I think that's what he was thinking, because at the end of he came back into it a little bit in the third set, but for a set and a half, set 2 and half a set 3, I was thinking there's no way back here from Medvedev.
Interesting. There's a lot of points I want to come back on that.
Yeah.
I think the latter point is I was convinced it was a purple patch from Eubanks. I mean, he was playing the ideal strategy for Medvedev, which was rushing him as much as possible. That's the way to beat Medvedev.
Yeah.
Coming to net, or play in a way that sort of doesn't enable him to get comfortable just running from side to side on the baseline, just getting everything back. I think Eubanks, by the end, kind of ended up falling into that, because he clearly didn't have the energy to maintain what was required. And Medvedev, I agree with you, like the way he mentally locked down, particularly in set 4, got it, got the tie break, played the better tie break, and just got the job done, was very much top player mentality. I'm interested to think, why do you think Medvedev's serve is underrated? Because most of the people I speak to don't underrate it.
I'll tell you why. It's probably this. As we've had a few recently. It might not have been on streams with yourself, but when we have the discussions on the stream, it's like I just can't remember Medvedev's name coming up, and I just at the time I'm thinking to myself, why is that? Now that might just be me, because I think Medvedev's serve was one of the main factors of him going on that run, where I think he won 3 tournaments back. Was it 3 tournaments he won back to back? Rotterdam, was it Rotterdam, Miami, maybe? Or
it was like an indoor run, yeah.
And so I mean, basically, it's just basically when we've had discussions on Talking Tennis, people have been throwing up Taylor Fritz. One of them. We were talking about. I think we were talking about the other night, even talking about Djokovic's first serve being inch for inch. Was that, sorry?
Yeah, I found it. Rotterdam, Qatar, Dubai.
There you go. And I think the serve was a big part of that, because I think if you find those stats as well, he didn't lose a lot of service games. And obviously he's a great returner. I mean, even if he stands in Timbuktu to return half these things, he's great at returning serve. So with that serve, I just think, like you say, he locked down mentally, and he put the work in the serve, and he knew, if I can serve this out, I don't think this guy can keep this level up in the fifth set. You see when he's on court interviews afterwards, Medvedev's a very witty guy, a very smart guy, and I think that kind of helps you at tennis, because tennis is all about outsmarting your opponent, and I just kind of felt an element of that in that match, in terms of the experience helped him as well. And I think for Eubanks, for the second and third set, he was just getting carried on the crest of a wave by the court one crowd. So yeah, I can see what you mean by. But I just thought, in terms of the serve volley, I just thought, how does Medvedev get out of this? Because he's already lost a match to someone like Kyrgios, who was just serve volley and had no shame in just going, I'm going to serve volley you off this court.
And her catch at Wimbledon 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I just thought Medvedev hasn't in the past managed to work his way around this. Will he do it on this occasion? But in terms of going on the lockdown, like you say, I think it was impressive by the Russian.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. I guess it depends on who you talk to, because I know if I talk to someone like Shrihari is a Daniel Medvedev fan, so he's going to rate everything Medvedev.
Yeah,
But I think if you spoke to someone like Owen, who doesn't come on very often, or Vunch or Damien, they'd probably say, Medvedev's serve is one of the main strengths of his game. And I would agree with that. Like,
Would you say it's a top 5 in the men's side? Would you say top 5 in the men's side?
Top 5 on the men's side? Ooh.
Because that's my point. What I'm saying, maybe
I don't. It depends on how good his spot serving is, and I'm not sure.
I think maybe underrated was maybe the wrong term. What I'm saying is when we talk about the best servers on the ATP tour, I just don't hear his name as much as I hear others. Is my point. Even for instance, we were talking about Djokovic and that tweet from Mark Petchey the other night about being the one of the best first servers in history, and then we kind of had a discussion about best servers in the game right now, and different names were getting pulled up. Medvedev's name didn't come up, and that's maybe where my thinking had come from.
Yeah, I'd say he didn't get mentioned, and that's a fair point. Maybe it's because I don't know how his spot serving is. It's not something I think of with his serve, but it is a very, very effective serve.
And he was rushing as well. I think in terms of he was I was actually thinking about this before we came on. The speed that both players were going at, and Medvedev, I think at one point the umpire hadn't even called the score, and he was wanting to get going. And sometimes that kind of says to me, he's pissed off here. Like, he just wants to get going. Like, he doesn't like the crowd. He doesn't like his opponent. He doesn't like the umpire. And then I was thinking, I was trying to look up in terms of, is there any notable 5-set match? I mean, I think that one was under 3 hours for a 5-set match.
In the modern era, no. If you go back far enough, most 5-set matches were 3 hours. But
yeah, that one was 2 hours 58 minutes today. So it was played at some pace, and so I just wondered, in terms of
both of them have massive serves.
Yeah,
so that would be why.
yeah. I mean, I think in terms of the stats of it, I think how many aces and non-returnables were there? I think quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you got them up?
I'm trying to pull them up. So Medvedev had 28 aces. Eubanks had 17.
That's mad.
And I'm just saying, Medvedev won 86 points in his first serve, 124 points in his serve.
Eubanks came to the net 67 times. That's exactly the strategy you need to beat Medvedev. But
did you see the stat? Did you see the stat about Eubanks?
No.
In that match, he has surpassed Andre Agassi's winners, like hitting winners.
Really?
Record. Yeah, 317.
In one tournament.
In one tournament. Now, if you're thinking about it, this is the quarterfinals. Agassi won it in '92. So, Agassi had 2 more extra matches to even get to that record. So the fact that this guy Eubanks has come along, got to the quarterfinal. I mean, this stat was pulled out midway through the 5th set. So that final number will be something,
I mean, he hit 74 in the whole match.
74 winners.
In the winners, yeah, whole match.
Right, so he's probably hitting that, roughly that every match he's played, considering he's played, quite a few 4 or 5 setters.
And actually, Medvedev also hit 52.
Well, there you go. I mean, there wasn't long rallies.
No,
it was just winner fest.
And that feels like a very un-Medvedev match. Almost like it forced Medvedev to kind of go for his shots a bit more, maybe.
Yeah, because you're bang on the money, aren't you? Like, Medvedev's match is like, I've just off the top of my head, he's played Zverev about 40 times this year, and those matches are just hit,
grind fest.
Yeah, and this just wasn't that. So I mean, I didn't know how. It just shows you the beauty of tennis, like we talked about earlier on. Chris Eubanks, he's a better man than me, very slender, but the power he can get, both the backhand and the forehand, it wasn't impressive. And I wanted to ask you, Nick, coming on to this, do you think now this is a kind of flash in the pan, or do you think he can take this onto other surfaces going forward? He's 28, I think. Yeah,
I mean, look, he's definitely going to be a force on American hard. He showed that in Miami. I think he's going to be like we've had a few sort of late bloomers like Aslan Karatsev or Kevin Anderson.
Yeah, good point. Good shout.
Coming through. Kevin Anderson's probably the better comparison. I think we could see him in the top end of the tour for the next couple of years. I mean, like, he's top 30 now. If he'd won this match, he'd have gone top 20. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 20 by the end of the year. And I think he should be able to maintain it. Clay may not be his best service, but he did get some decent wins on that over the course of the season. I think he's definitely going to be a name we keep an eye out for in draws for the next sort of year, 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah. And in terms of, I mean, I think you're right. I think I'm going to hold you to the top 20 because it is very competitive out there, and there is, so much talent. But I think it's a fair shout. I mean, who am I to dismiss his chances? Considering he's just, he tried to qualify in 2018, 2019. 2021 and 2022, failed every time in Roehampton, I think it was. And then, first time ever playing the main draw at Wimbledon and getting to the quarterfinals, and, being points away from beating the world number 3. It was impressive. In terms of Medvedev, I mean, Matthew makes a great point here about the semi-finals. I mean, before we move on to the ladies' side of things, we've got 2, blockbuster semi-finals to look forward to. I'm so pleased about that semi-final lineup just because it feels like a Grand Slam semi-final lineup.
Now, be honest, Tom, did you predict that lineup?
No.
Really?
No. I don't think Medvedev would get this far because I think I don't know. I had a feeling Medvedev should be a natural grass quarter because he's, what's the most used term for Medvedev? Swashbuckling. It's just, but he hasn't got this far before. Obviously, there's been issues, like you say, in terms of like last year he wasn't here. He had somebody who was rushing him, like Hurkacz, who is an actual grass quarter. So Medvedev, I just didn't give a chance, especially after the way he left the French after winning Rome. I think it was it Rome he won?
Rome.
And then, so I just thought, maybe he's ran out a little bit of steam. I thought Alcaraz would be here. Yes, and I suppose. Okay, yeah. No, now I'm thinking about it. Probably Medvedev was the only one that I didn't think, and that's probably because I'm thinking Andy Murray. Like I genuinely had hopes that Andy Murray was going to get to a last day. I genuinely did.
You and a lot of other Brits.
So yeah, I mean, maybe it's hope rather than that much optimism. Do you know what I mean? So it's,
I get it.
It's the heart ruling the head.
Note to self. So those of us in like the Popcorn Talking Tennis team have got a fantasy league on TNNS where which if you're not in it, I will send you a link for it. So you can join in time for the US Open.
I see how bad my predictions are.
Well, actually, you got 3. Most people got the same sort of 3 out of 4 lineup. But a lot of people went for Murray or Korda.
Yeah, Korda. I'm a favourite Korda.
Yeah,
Sebastian, I'm a favourite for this tournament. Korda.
Yeah, didn't make it. But there were 2 people who did predict this. These 4 in the semis.
Nice.
I was one of them. Shahiri was the other.
Please be being smug to the others.
Oh, I'm going to be the smug. But actually, the Alcaraz Medvedev semi-final is going to decide who wins it because Shahiri has Medvedev winning that match, and I have Alcaraz winning that match.
Right. Okay. So let's discuss that.
Both have Djokovic winning the tournament.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So, as Matthew's point, then, what can Medvedev do to try and beat or try and overcome Carlos Alcaraz?
I think Matthew's got a good point that maybe Medvedev does need to be a bit more aggressive because clearly his game style didn't work in Indian Wells. Alcaraz walked all over him in Indian Wells. Indian Wells is a slower surface, though. I think because Alcaraz has got the speed, he's got the agility to mix things up, but he's not going to try and net rush Medvedev as much. Maybe. I think. What does he have to do? I think he's got to be serving really well. He's got to serve. Better than he did today. He's got to keep his first serve percentage up. Alcaraz is a great returner. He's got to be willing to go for shots and move Alcaraz out of court. That's not a guarantee against Alcaraz because Alcaraz can run everything down. But I would say, maybe that aggressive game plan is his best hope, and maybe Eubanks has given him something to think about. And
in terms of Carlitos, what does he have to do? Anything spectacular in terms of change anything?
Rush Medvedev, move him up and down the court, not just side to side. I think deploy his game as best he possibly can, and he should win it.
Do you think players, in terms of are players smart enough to go into? That sounds terrible. But what I'm saying is, do you think Alcaraz would be going away with his team, looking at the Medvedev Eubanks match, seeing what Eubanks was doing for 2 sets, and then going, right, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to implement it, but you've got more talent that you can maintain it for longer?
How tall is Alcaraz? He's
Just
exactly
under
6
6
foot,
is he?
right? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
exactly 6 foot. I've got it up because I've still got his head-to-head with Rune up.
I thought you just looked at your Alcaraz poster that you've got in your wall.
The life-size cardboard cutout. No, there wouldn't be enough space next to the one of Andy Murray. No, wait, that's Scott who has that.
Right, yeah, fair enough. Heard that.
So he's not as big as Eubanks or Hurkacz. So net rushing will work to an extent, but he doesn't have the length on his limbs to necessarily pull that off as well as the others. So I think that would be the main risk. Is he's a little bit more vulnerable to being passed compared to the other two.
Yeah. And do you think, him playing these, like, if he continues to try and play the drop shots that haven't been coming off as well, Medvedev's, got the pace for a big man to get there?
Medvedev's movement is key part of his game. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And then the other semi is a much chance for Sinner, 2 sets up last year. Many people writing him off already, but is he a better player than he was 12 months ago?
Yes, but Djokovic knows what's coming.
So I think it'll be simpler, like a more comfortable victory.
I think he'll go 4.
4. I think that I would echo that.
Yeah. I think that's how I think it's going to go. But obviously, that's until Friday. We've got a little cheeky
tomorrow.
Yeah. No,
I'm just saying tomorrow's. I'm going to. Are we going on to tomorrow in the semi-final lineup after today's games?
Yeah. I mean, So let's have a look at the women's matches. So, is it fair to say that the biggest, I'd say the main match of the women's tour was that Jabeur-Rybakina rematch, which went 3 sets.
Yeah,
Jabeur winning it pretty much by taking control of that match, I would say, and kind of out Rybakina in a lot of ways.
I mean, I was shocked. I was surprised. I mean, look, I know Jabeur is a talented girl, but after that first set and the fact that she'd been serving for it, we've all seen this rodeo before. We've all watched this episode before. You're thinking at that point, after Rybakina had nicked it, you're thinking she could collapse here, or it'll just be a case of Rybakina will hold her serve until 4-4 and then nick hers and then win at 6-4. I was pleasantly shocked and pleasantly surprised because I like Ons Jabeur. I think she's very, very talented, as I said. And some of the tennis, some of the down the line winners, she was putting away, and she had a swagger about her. I mean, there was a point, I think she was 15-30. She was already 3-1 up, maybe 2-1 up with a break in the final set. She'd obviously won 6-4. It's anyone's game at that point. I know she's a breaker, and then I think she drilled a return and just swaggered from ad court to deuce court, just pure looking at the crowd, just this is me. Do you know what I mean? With the Conor McGregor swagger, effectively. It was really good to watch. She was putting in all the tricks that she usually does. I think even the match point, there was like all sort of slice forehands coming in. I was really, really impressed by her today. I'll tell you about what I think she'll do in the semi-final, but yeah, I just thought it was a nice kind of arc in terms of what happened last year. She's admitted that she hasn't been able to watch it back.
Don't blame her.
The devastation, and she maybe thought, there was times, she hasn't been able to find that form, the highs of the momentum that she had last year. It seems as if after Wimbledon she took a bit of a dip. So I'm really happy for her, and yeah, I thought she was very, very impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, funny enough, I was in a bit of a Twitter debate with someone earlier as to whether Ons Jabeur won it or Rybakina lost it.
Oh, right.
I am of the view that Ons Jabeur won it.
Oh, I would agree with you. I'd back you up, Nick. I'd back you up. Who was it? Who was this person on Twitter? And I'll find
some guy called Rick Marcinet.
Oh, right, big Rick. I'm coming for you.
But yeah, I think he basically doesn't rate Ons. essentially. But Ons, I think, yeah, she was hitting winners. She was hitting flat. She was placing the ball in the right spots, and frustrating Rybakina and forcing errors. I think that Rybakina's unforced error count was pretty low for most of that match until maybe the final set when everything kind of fell apart a bit. But that was out of frustration of what she was dealing with.
Yeah.
She did. I agree with you. I did think after that first set, Rybakina might close this out, and because she's nicked a set, but Ons regrouped and snatched that second set when Rybakina sort of faltered in the last game on her serve, and yeah, it was a great battle. Ons's winners were absolutely brilliant. She didn't need to use her guile and her variety as much, although we saw plenty of it, and it was still wonderful. Yeah, it was interesting when she said after in her post-match interview on court, she was like, "Why? If I could swap the results from this year to last year, I would."
Yeah.
And I think part of it's like, yeah, you could. She could have finished the job last year, but they always go 3 sets. These two when they're both healthy. I would imagine it's going to be similar battles again going forward. And then that's most people's title pick now out, Rybakina.
Yeah, but I mean, it just shows you tennis, doesn't it? Jesus, it's just, it's one of the reasons why everybody listening and watching, we enjoy this game so much. Like, in terms of Ons Jabeur, I think she's now starting to be one of these players that you'll always start to associate with Wimbledon, just because she comes to life at Wimbledon. Obviously a finalist last year. I mean, leading up to the tournament, I'm just checking out now. She lost early in Berlin in grass. She lost early to Camilla Giorgi at Rossi, Eastbourne. Sorry. So you're just thinking, it's this Wimbledon's come maybe a wee bit too early for her to get back to that kind of level. And she proves us wrong. Obviously, Rybakina, we had this mystery virus, but she looked like Katie Boulter. I know is maybe not playing, and no disrespect to Katie Boulter, but she's maybe not playing the same kind of tennis as Rybakina, but Rybakina looked, on fire for those 2 sets, and you thought, maybe she's building momentum. And going into it, I had Rybakina as favourite. You may have disagreed, but I had Rybakina as favourite.
I did too.
Yeah. And then, she was the tournament favourite, wasn't she? But yeah, again, it was good to see. I don't know what happened, but she did obviously majorly fade.
If you see the preview show I did on WTA Weekly with Jack, we were having a debate over whether Rybakina was the favourite or Sabalenka was the favourite.
Right, okay.
And I was all on team Rybakina.
And what was giving you that belief, like, in terms of, because she was the defending champion, she'd been there, done it, or
defending champion, the way she won it last year, I thought she should have recovered from the virus by this point. And that Vekic loss in Berlin was actually pretty good in retrospect. Like, she still played pretty, like, she was outplayed by Vekic. She was having a very, very good day, and she didn't really crumble. And to be fair, like, she was outplayed by Ons Jabeur, who was having a very, very good day today. So I think it was just, I had that confidence that maybe this is going to be a player who has a special relationship with Wimbledon. And all the stats were showing that. I mean, she'd won 15 out of her first 16 matches at Wimbledon, now 15 out of 17.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the reason why I was going for her. I just felt like, and I kind of like the idea of the WTA Big Three getting the first 3 slams in the year to get a super showdown going into the US between the 3 of them.
That'll be good. That'll be tasty. I like that. I like that thought.
It's not going to happen now, but I think there'll still be a bit of a showdown. I think Rebecca's still going to go in there with something to prove. But I guess what we'll have to see. I mean, interestingly, if Ons Jabeur wins the title, she will go back up to the world number 3 ahead of Rybakina.
Right. Well, I'll do the start of Sabalenka. If she wins the event now, she can be world number 1.
She gets the final.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So she play the semi-final match is basically against Jabeur is for the world number 1 for her.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, If you ask me, I'm just going to check it now.
Absolutely. I mean, while you do that, I was going to ask, did you see quite funny in this match that the umpire's voice was getting loved up by the crowd?
Kind of Nuni, has a very distinct voice, but I think that's the first time a crowd's actually reacted to that. I'm going to guess that someone very drunk got the giggles, and then the entire crowd seemed to follow.
Well, funnily enough, because I was going to throw you a wee couple question in this, and ask you in terms of your personal preference, which umpire has the most soothing voice for you?
It's kind of Uni.
Is that okay? Yeah. Because I actually looked him up beforehand, and in 2017, with the Wimbledon coverage by the Daily Mirror here, there is a story about Canada being called the Barry White of tennis, due to his soothing voice, and it was because of a match between Johanna Konta and Simone Halep.
That match from a few years back.
In 2017, and I think the Wimbledon crowd did the same. They just seemed to fall in love with his voice. So yeah, I just thought that was quite a quirk to proceedings. Every time he would go 30, 40, he was getting a laugh.
Found it. Yeah, can confirm if she wins tomorrow, Arina Sabalenka will be the world number 1.
Okay, nice. And so let's then go on to Sabalenka, the first match of the day, or the one that kicked off at the start of the day. Yeah. What Nick is the WT.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, I thought if Sabalenka had an off day, Keys would be the one to pounce. It ended up being the other way around. But it was basically a battle of the power plays and who was best at that game style. And Sabalenka was just blowing Keys off the court in set 1. Credit to Keys, she did fight back in set 2, but then let a load of unforced errors creep in, which was a break up in the second, and then Sabalenka ran away with it, basically. Yeah. Sabalenka was the better player throughout, and I would say she's been looking stronger and stronger as this tournament's gone on. And that match kind of showed it. There still is a little bit of a wobble in there. But yeah, that was my reading of it, is that Keys' game plan, if she'd execute, it was able to keep up with Sabalenka, but not for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Not the level Sabalenka was playing at.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more in terms of Sabalenka. I was blown away by how she was hitting that ball. And for me, I can't see anyone. If she keeps that level, especially the first set, it was just it was delicious tennis in terms of like the power, the precision. She was mixing it up with slice backhands as well. She was in total control. She had 4 break points in the first game of the match. I mean, you could argue Keys didn't look right at the start. She had a couple of medical professionals helping her out. She took a couple of tablets, and then maybe that kind of helped her out to try and get a foothold in the match. But yeah, Sabalenka just looked unstoppable. Like even if she wanted was in the tournament still, and we had a semi-final showdown with Rebecca as well, I would be sitting there going like, nobody's stopping Sabalenka if she can hit that level. The only person that can beat Sabalenka is Sabalenka. So I mean, obviously, like you say, I think Keys had a chance. She wasn't completely out in that second set. She was 40-love up though. She was 40-love up, and to try and consolidate that break. I think was she 4-2? No, she wasn't even 4-2. She was 3-2.
4-2. 4-2.
Was it 4-2 with a break?
And she had 40-love at 4-2 as well.
Yeah, that's my point. And then I think she even served a couple of double faults. I thought the set, I had the stats earlier. I'll maybe try and pull them again. For me, a tail in the tape was in terms of the second serve. I think every time she had to hit a second serve, Keys, Sabalenka was on top of it straight away, and there was numerous return winners by Sabalenka, and I just thought it was really, really good tennis. And, I thought there was a minor slip, that break of serve, but as always, I just thought she was by far and away the better player.
Yeah, I think I think I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I think we know where we're at with that, which means I think we're at that stage now where we need to look at tomorrow because it's the semi-finals day in the women's tournament. I am going to be covering both matches.
Wow. Okay. Now, will you be able to contain your excitement for Svitolina?
Svitolina against Vondrousova.
Yeah, I know that
that's the first matchup.
You're sure you and Isabel, we're big, watching the Azarenka stuff the other night. And Svitolina, I think you're in the Svitolina camp for this one. You want the fairy tale to continue?
Yes. I think she does have the more interesting story. I think she's probably in the better form out of the two players. I think she will win regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a little bit of me that as the Swiatek fan who wanted to lose to a finalist. So it's like someone who had a great day. So
you always want to say, "Oh, at least they lost to the winner or the finalist," don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Which she usually does. I would back Svitolina tomorrow. I think she's going to be high on confidence. She's had the tougher draw. She's hitting that forehand pretty aggressively, probably more aggressively than a lot of the other players that Vondrousova would have dealt with so far, with the exception of Kudermetova and Bushkova. I know she's played some aggressive players, but it's a different kind of aggression. It's much more precise than sort of maybe someone who's going for a bit more power on it. But she's more willing to get into cat and mouse points as well. I do wonder if Vondrousova is struggling a bit more physically, and I think the crowd will be fully behind Svitolina. And whilst I think Swiatek managed it very well, like she said in her press conference, she didn't notice if there was a volume difference. But I think if there's a clear volume difference, I think it's going to bother Vondrousova.
Right, and then you think that will then affect her game, impact her game then?
I could see her going, I'm the underdog, why aren't you rooting for, like, maybe, I don't know. But I also think obviously Svitolina's got that grass court pedigree as well. Like, on paper, Svitolina should be the favourite, but Vondrousova has beaten some tricky players. She's played some really, really good tennis so far. And she's been to a Grand Slam final before, whereas Svitolina hasn't. Svitolina's the only one of the 4 semi-finalists who actually hasn't made a Grand Slam semi-final, which is crazy to think, given that she's won the WTA finals and is a former world number 3.
Yeah, no, when you put it that way. So you're going for Svitolina then? You're in 2 or 3?
I think it'll go. I think, because I'm not that confident in it. Well, I am relatively confident in it, but I think Vondrousova will cause her headaches. I'm going to go Svitolina 3.
Okay, lovely stuff.
What about you, Tom? Come on, let's go. Let's hear it from you.
I want the fairy tale to continue. You and Isabel left a mark in me because I think, I'll be honest, I think I wanted Azarenka. I just because I've grown up with Azarenka. Back in the day, I think you mentioned that when the Williams sister were about, Azarenka was always the hope to try and maybe cause a little bit of a ruffle. So I've kind of followed her career since then. So I've probably but saying that, I think I caught the bug after that match, and I want the fairy tale to continue. So
very similar to me with Swiatek match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll go Svitolina in 3.
Yeah. Okay. So we think Svitolina in 3. It's going to be tough, but the fairy tale, we are hopeful the fairy tale continues, and we're expecting it.
I just want to see more feels in the box in a Wimbledon final, just pure like love and life.
Oh yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with the kid, because the kid's like under 1 still, so they probably can't bring him.
He's got a papoose on watching the Wimbledon final. That would be like the iconic image of Wimbledon 2023.
If that child wakes up during the match, though, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah, actually, are they not allowed babies in or something because of like?
I don't think so. No.
There you go. So Daddy will be at home then. I think babysitting.
Yeah, maybe he might prefer that, actually, so he's not doesn't have like his nerves broadcast the entire world.
Yeah. He's like the most animated, emotional man ever, man. He would just not be able to like keep himself.
We often imagine ourselves as players on centre court, like being in those finals. Like tennis fans sometimes do. I know I used to pretend that when I was growing up and thought maybe have a go. Tom, if you're let's say in a completely different parallel world, your partner was very into tennis and was playing, would you be an absolute wreck?
No, I'd be pure competitive though. Like, I'd be like one of the guys, like, you know, just standing up every point, like try to annoy like whoever's like my missus' opponent, like try to get under their skin. I'm so competitive. I'm like the most competitive man in the world. I used to like work in an office, and we used to have like quizzes on Friday, and like I had to have my manager one time say, "You need to stop being so competitive. This is just like a never-ending thing." So no, I'd be proper like in their face, like standing up every point and stuff like that.
You'll be one of the fun ones.
Yeah. The camera's always going to me, and Andrew Castle's always going like, look at this tube.
Yeah. Ouch from John. Lack of confidence there.
That's the wine. That's the wine flowing.
Go home, producer. You're drunk.
So
right.
we're on the second semi-final then.
We are, yes.
Sabalenka.
So Jabeur Sabalenka, I'm guessing that you're expecting the Jabeur fairy tale to end.
Yeah, unfortunately for ons, it's just going to be a step too far, because, as I say, I just think, I know Sabalenka has been semi-finalist in Wimbledon before, so it's not like it's going to be like, you know, overwhelming for her, but I just think like her game when she last played in this event, I think it was maybe 2 years, was it 3 when she got to the semi-final? Mm-hmm. I think she's like, you know, just a 10 times better player than she was then. She's been, you know, on the verge of world number 1, which, you know, is quite an astounding when you follow tennis, you know, and you think just how far, you know, Iga Swiatek was, and I know this is, you know, breaking your heart here, Nick, but, you know, you think we were having discussions at times last year and at times at the start of this year, you know, is this going to be like a decade of domination? Is the women's game going to be boring because this girl Swiatek is just going to dominate everything? Sabalenka has taken the bulls by the horns in 2023. You know, there's been a couple of slips, you know, again, different conditions in Madrid and whatnot, but, you know, Sabalenka has been the player of 2023, you know, proving it with the Australian Open. The quarterfinal, the semi-final, was it against Mukova? You know, she'll think that is one that got away. Mukova did great to come back from 5-2 down and win the next 5 games. There might even be a little bit of, you know, wanting to prove a point to doubters by Sabalenka. And the way that she was hitting it, I mean, I've not watched a lot of Sabalenka in this tournament, just for one reason or another. I've been watching other ties. But I watched that one in full today.
Hi, Shane. It's been about 6 months since we last spoke. The first thing I'd like you to do is just introduce yourself and remind us why today is a slightly special day for you.
Yeah, I'm Shane Leonage. I'm a performance data scientist, and I get to work on the teams of a number of players. But today, 2 of the players that we've been working with for a number of years, actually, Ons Jabeur and Elina Sabalenka, they're playing off in a semi-final at Wimbledon today.
And how do you deal with that, Shane? So normally, of course, you'd be giving them data on each other and themselves, etc., etc. But of course, with Sabalenka playing Jabeur today, what is the philosophy that you provide them with, if you like, Shane?
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of the analysis and the reports, that stays very much the same. So both teams will get access to data on each other, video of each other, and recommendations on how to play the match. We have a conflict management process where when 2 of our clients play, they actually...
Hi, Shane. It's been about 6 months since we last spoke. The first thing I'd like you to do is just introduce yourself and remind us why today is a slightly special day for you.
Yeah, I'm Shane Leonage. I'm a performance data scientist, and I get to work on the teams of a number of players. But today, 2 of the players that we've been working with for a number of years, actually, Ons Jabeur and Elina Sabalenka, they're playing off in a semi-final at Wimbledon today.
And how do you deal with that, Shane? So normally, of course, you'd be giving them data on each other and themselves, etc., etc. But of course, with Sabalenka playing Jabeur today, what is the philosophy that you provide them with, if you like, Shane?
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of the analysis and the reports, that stays very much the same. So both teams will get access to data on each other, video of each other, and recommendations on how to play the match. We have a conflict management process where when two of our clients play, they actually have a choice whether to use two different analysts on my team. So my company, Data Driven Sports Analytics, we've got a number of analysts that do the work. They've both chosen to stick with me as part of the analysis, but at the end of the match, they're allowed to see the report that the other side gets. So they've played a number of times. So this is, I guess, another instance of when they're playing against each other. It's not easy, but I think we've dealt with it really well, and both teams actually get along really well, so they understand the situation.
Shane, is there something that you would withhold, though, specifically from each player that normally, under a normal circumstance, you would give them?
Not really. I think the analysis, we try and still give absolutely everything available to them as if it was another match. The one caveat is if there was particular match video or data that we could only get as part of our credential with one of the teams, or through the login of one of the teams, which wasn't publicly available, then we exclude that data because we feel like that was a confidential access to data for a specific purpose only. But if the data is available publicly, or we're able to get it through other sources, then we provide that data to both teams.
Got it. Let's switch to the first semi-final, which is between Svitolina and Vondrousova. How do you see that one panning out, and where will it be won and lost, do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting semi-final. Both obviously very capable players. I think very capable, but still, it would. I think most people would say it is a surprise semi-final. But if you've watched, the rounds, they're both, definitely earned their way in there. Where I think it'd be won and lost, it's a tricky one. So Svitolina from the baseline has been able to outlast everyone, including Iga the other day. So yeah. I think for Vondrousova, it's going to be really important for her to maximize the damage early in the rally, because she doesn't want to be drawn into really long, lengthy rallies with Svitolina, who's showed she can match it with anyone, once the rallies are over 5-6 shots in length.
I guess, Shane, because you're going to have a finalist, you will be a bit keener than normal to keep an eye on that other semi-final, and I guess you'll be preparing data for the final as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, we've already all their matches up until this point for both of those players. We've run through our tracking system. We've got the relevant data. It's just going to be adding the semi-final data to it. But we obviously have two very different players in Ons and Arena. So tactically, whoever wins, it'll be a different style of match required to win. Again, yes, we've done a lot of the work, but I think a lot of the work will have to depend on whoever wins out of Ons and Arena, and then we use the data specific to their game to try and come up with a winning plan for the final.
When you know this situation, for example, and you're going to be playing X player in the next, or you're going to be playing one of two players in the next round, do you secretly inside you cheer on a certain player because you think the matchup would work better for your player, or are you a neutral observer still?
Yeah, actually, you do. You naturally you have a feeling or a gut feeling, or the data that you've looked at says particular matchup is better. So naturally, yes, there's probably a preference. I'm not going to say who, but sure. But having said that, I've also been put out where I've wanted a particular player to win, and they've ended up winning, and they've ended up defeating the player I was working with. So I also know each match is different. You've got to prepare for that opponent on that day, factoring in specific things like the weather on the day, the surface. All of those things are variables on the day. So yeah.
Shane, wonderful to have you on board again, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon. Thanks very much, and try to enjoy the day.
I will. Thanks. See you later.
Thanks, bye.
An epic trailer for an epic day of tennis. Ladies and gentlemen, it is women's semi-finals day at Wimbledon, and I'm here with my good friend James, the tennis ranter. James,
I'll tell you
how you
what,
doing?
after that introduction, I feel as though we're deep in an episode of The Crown right now. It's lots on the line. Of course, a crown is actually up on the line. Probably not today, but on Saturday. And could one of the two women that we're going to be watching be the ones that are going to take it?
Indeed. It's very possible. The players are warming up on court right now. We are witnessing the battle for a place in the Wimbledon final, to be the first unseeded player to win to reach a Wimbledon final in 60 years.
60. Wow, that's a brilliant stat.
First in the Open era. Last unseeded player to reach the Wimbledon final, Billie Jean King, in '63. And we know how well she ended up doing. Elina Svitolina, we'll just rattle through kind of maybe the headlines of what we know they've achieved. Elina Svitolina, former world number 3, the 2018 WTA finals champion, has won multiple times at the 1000 level, is a 2-time major semi-finalist, critically, including at Wimbledon in 2019, versus Marketa Vondrousova, Olympic silver medalist. Actually, Elina Svitolina is also an Olympic bronze medalist. Marketa Vondrousova is also a former French Open finalist. This is a player that maybe people forget about a lot, but she always reminds people why she's relevant, and she's still pretty young. She's still only 23.
She is certainly very young. I mean, somebody
24.
24. Certainly somebody who sort of gone on a little bit of a dip in recent times, but very much has found her form here at these championships, and pretty much in this year as well. She's been involved in a number of high-profile matches and winning high-profile matches, certainly on the clay court season.
Indeed, and she's well, we know she's a great clay court player. Her grass record, we didn't think was that impressive, but her Berlin run suggested maybe she'd crack the surface. And then, as you say, she's got through some really good players. She beat Veronika Kudermetova. She beat Marie Bushkova. She got through Donna Vekic, who was in form. And then finishing against Jessica Pegula, who looked to have set for a first major semi-final. Weirdly, Svitolina is playing for her first major final, though,
which is just nuts to think about, given the career that she's already had, and at the moment is looking like to have in the future.
Indeed. Well, look, she's still only 28. She's still got a few years left at the top of the game and playing better than ever. She's rocketing up the rankings right now, in the top 30. A win today would get her back in the top 20 after only just 4 events back on tour, maybe slightly more. But
I mean, the run she's had since coming back from, it's usually you'd expect players to take maybe 5-6 tournaments before they can really start to show some good match practice, especially for the length of time that she's been out for. But literally came straight back, 1 or 2 tournaments, and then hey presto, she won, Strasbourg before the French Open, then got to the quarterfinals in Paris, and now the finals here semi-finals in thingy as we go.
And speaking of the semi-finals, we are now underway. So I'm going to start talking, and then James, you can let me know where you're at. And producing.
We should be a little bit more in sync. I'm on my iPlayer on the same sort of stream as you're on my iPad. So hopefully.
Well, we've had the opening point, and Vondrousova has just shanked a forehand over the baseline. So I've changed my setup a little bit just to try and catch up with you a little bit. So it's 15-love with Svitolina serving. Speaking of the Ukrainian, and just a request to the producer maybe for some updates. If they have the sound on, would you mind letting us know how involved the crowd are getting? Because I think that could be a big factor in this match. They're currently rallying at the minute. Marketa Vondrousova going up the line with a lefty forehand, now lifts up a lob at the net, and Svitolina passes on the backhand, and Vondrousova slips a little bit and moves to 30-love. That was well crafted from Svitolina, dealing with Vondrousova trying to craft everything and set the point up well.
Good bit of defensive work there from Svitolina there. So certainly just it's very hard to defend on grass, and she's shown some good elements of it already.
Yeah, for sure. Her ability to turn defensive to attack this entire tournament has been fantastic. Vondrousova was already trying to mix things up, though. What a drop. It was going for the drop shot to cover the top of the net and sort of died. So Vondrousova gets her first point of the match. It's a bit of an unlucky one, really.
That was
lucky one.
There was certainly a lot of luck involved in that match. In that match, in that point there.
I mean, there's probably a lot of luck involved in certain aspects of tennis matches. Let's be honest.
Up the line, backhand, good backhand from Vondrousova, just about chips over the net. But though Vondrousova running to the net, tries to do the slice and slices it long beyond the baseline.
Oh, I might be slightly ahead of you then. Interesting. I've gone with the BBC, the main BBC coverage this time.
Are you at 40-15?
Yeah, I'm at 40-15. Svitolina's bouncing the ball.
Bounce.
Getting ready to serve.
Up in the air.
Yeah.
There we are. Perfect. We're pretty much in sync.
Vondrousova puts the return into the net, and Svitolina holds for the opening game.
Very strong opening there from Svitolina.
And nerves must be jangling a bit for both players because this is a massive opportunity that neither of them probably fully expected. I think they probably would have backed themselves to do well. I don't think there's a player who doesn't, but they probably weren't necessarily setting high expectations this high that they would be in the last four.
No, I think both players would have thought they could have a good run, possibly getting to like a fourth round quarterfinal, but certainly not to be getting all the way to the semi-final Thursday.
No, right. Let's see how Vondrousova does.
Vondrousova backhand, and Vondrousova commanding at the net.
Yeah,
very commanding at the net just there.
Yeah, it's very clear. I think Vondrousova is going to be trying to use all of the court this whole match, either by moving Svitolina around or moving herself into awkward positions, be it at the net or and coming into the net where possible. Though that was a very good serve. Didn't need to move much because it was an ace and it's 30-love. Such an interesting one. Okay, looks like we might be slightly behind the scoreboard by the look of it. Just because Vondrousova is currently serving at 30-love on my screen, going to the forehand of Svitolina to the backhand of Vondrousova. Svitolina goes back cross court, trying to attack the backhand of Vondrousova, then changes direction, hits a forehand winner up the line. Great work from Svitolina there. Crowd loving it.
Full crowds already, which is excellent to see at the in the first few games of the first match on centre. Usually it takes a little bit of time to fill up the stands, but they're all here already.
I mean, let's face it, if you had a Wimbledon semi-final ticket, would you not want to get there as quickly as possible?
Oh, I'll be there like 2 hours before.
Yeah. Great cut point for the next. Svitolina lobs over Marketa Vondrousova. There's some dispute over to whether this call was in or out. It was called out. Svitolina's challenging it. Because if this lob is in, that was a great shot. Here we go.
I think it looked in, but I'm probably going to get told by otherwise that it was out.
It was out.
Oh, okay.
Just 40-15 for Vondrousova. That's ready to serve. But a bolt's
make sure as well you comment in the chat how you think the things are going. If you've got any questions for us, good to get a lot of chat moving in the comment section.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, let us know what you think of the match. Let us know what you think of the players. Ask us any questions about what we're seeing as Svitolina nets with the forehand. Vondrousova holds. Good start for both players.
Just get a shot to a debenture holder. That because they've got the fun little lanyards around their neck.
I mean, sure, because if you're paying thousands of pounds for a spot at Wimbledon, you want to show that off, right?
Absolutely. If I had the money, I'd be a debenture holder, but I don't, fortunately.
No, they don't. They don't pay teachers enough for that, sadly. No. Not in this country. Svitolina's now got a second serve to begin this game. Vondrousova gets the backhand up the middle. Svitolina moves Vondrousova around with a forehand, then finishes with a backhand on the net. Great job.
That is literally sending it one way and the other, and then just finishing it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Great construction.
I mean, in the football terms, I'd say that's from the training ground as a sort of a routine.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be said, both players' courtcraft is excellent. They're both very good at just moving their opponents around and using all of the court. It's going to be it's a very interesting matchup, given they both like to do it. I could expect a lot of cat and mouse in this match.
Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova. No, strong backhand, forehand by Vondrousova.
Yeah. Great backhand from Vondrousova. Goes cross. They're still going cross court, forehand to backhand, because of course Vondrousova's a lefty.
And long by Vondrousova. That cat and mouse game was won by Elina.
I wouldn't call it cat. I think cat and mouse tends to be more at the net in my view. I think because it's kind of it's a cross court rally. They were just waiting to see who was breaking down on the cross court. Neither of them really going for a change of direction. It's interesting that Svitolina's backhand was solid enough not to break down, because he would think that if you're going to attack, you're good at defending off the backhand more than anything else. But if you're trying to attack a forehand on the lefty cross court, that's a dangerous tactic.
Yeah, I've used the wrong term there. Very much more like a Mexican standoff in terms of same location, just a little bit further back.
Yeah. Although I think Mexican tennis is something slightly different. I don't know if you've ever done that. Like a coach used to do that with me back about 10 years ago, which was basically like you let the ball bounce twice. The game was about retrieving the ball and getting it back over the net. So if it died on your side, you lost it.
That sounds like a pretty neat game, actually, just to change things up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the one you play in the service boxes, where you have to bounce the ball on your side so that it bounces over to your opponents, and they've got to bounce it down to the ground as well.
Oh yeah, I used to have to do that drill. I hated it. Vondrousova goes long.
Vondrousova hits it long.
Yeah, backhand, making it 40-15 for Svitolina, who lost the previous point where we were having a chat. I don't know what live text commentary we've got up here, but it seems we have a third commentator from here. And Svitolina serves out wide to the Vondrousova backhand, then goes cross court with the backhand. Vondrousova nets, trying on the run, and then Svitolina holds. Another good hold.
It was full of shots, full of rallies, but that was another strong service hold by Svitolina there.
Yeah, for sure.
Way to get up and running.
Yeah, great job from Svitolina to kind of deal with the situation. She's genuinely, she's settled a little bit more in the match now. I think that she seems to be comfortable rallying with Vondrousova, and certainly when the rallies are going long, she's winning them, which is interesting, at least at the minute. We now have, as we go to a commercial break, at the minute, we're getting a few votes, but looks like most of you are backing Elina Svitolina to win this one.
Interestingly as well, just to give everyone an idea of their head-to-head, they have played 5 times on the WTA. Elina's won it 1-3 and Marketa's won 2. But the last 2 meetings were both one was in 2021 in the Olympics, and that was won by Vondrousova, and in 2020 on Rome in the clay, and that was won by Vondrousova as well. So interestingly, that although Elina leads the head-to-head, the last 2 victories have come from Vondrousova.
What I will say is that they were both on much slower court surfaces as well. Like obviously Rome being on clay, and that Olympic surface was notoriously slow, as Vondrousova hits a kind of deceptive sort of, I call it technically a drop shot, but it didn't have any backspin. She just sort of like casually just sort of lifted it up and over the net, and wins the first point.
Digs it out.
Yeah, digs it out. That's better. Yeah, there you go. Digging is probably the better metaphor there. I mean, at the minute, I would say that I think most people will probably be not only expecting Svitolina to win based on the run she's had, though Vondrousova's had an excellent run, Svitolina's had probably a better run in terms of who she's beaten, but also probably has a majority of support from a lot of fans. As a drop shot from Vondrousova ends up in the net, and it's 30-15.
It's a bit lax on that one, a little bit too relaxed on that drop shot.
Yeah, that was when that's sort of, you see that from Carlos Alcaraz when he gets a little bit too loose, or actually that's more of a Djokovic drop shot.
Yeah, I'm already well in the lead. I'll just hit whatever ball I want to hit, as Vondrousova is able to get an unreturnable.
Yeah, 40-15.
Seems the majority of people on saying now Svitolina is going to be winning. I don't know if it's going to be head or heart saying that, but with people.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it's a little bit of both. I think there are some people who are backing Vondrousova, which is good to see, because I did feel a bit sorry for no one seems to want to do it. Oh, what a backhand on the run from Svitolina, gets it. That's 40-30. Great job. I thought she was at that point. Vondrousova was moving her around, hooks that forehand cross court. What an angle. And Svitolina is already there, hits the backhand right plumb in the corner. That was brilliant. Good. That's why we think that's why so many people think she's going to win this one.
Apparently, I have ESPN++. That's why I'm so ahead.
Okay, so hang on a minute. How are you ahead?
No, I'm not ahead.
Okay.
I think you just remember from last time.
Oh, Ghost is ahead. Right. That's fair enough. I'm kind of paying more attention to the match. I've got a slightly different setup because I've decided that casting my tablet to the TV slows it down. So I'm going for off the tablet in front of my computer screen. As Svitolina goes inside out on the forehand.
What tablet have you got there then, Nick?
Sorry?
What tablet have you got there?
Samsung. Can't remember the model.
Samsung. Okay, I've got an iPad.
No, I refuse to use Apple. Not because I don't have an issue with the company, but because I find Samsung's much more user-friendly.
Fair point. I've got a Google phone, Pixel phone, but I've got I do feel as though the iPads are the better tablet computer.
Apple, please send us that sponsorship money now.
Yeah.
Svitolina's at love 15 at the minute. She kind of made a bit of an error. It goes slice on the backhand to the Vondrousova forehand, then goes backhand to the Vondrousova forehand again, just using the same tactic, waiting for the Vondrousova break down. But it's the Svitolina backhanded breaks down, and it's love 30. That wasn't. I think you could cast that as an unforced error there. And suddenly it's Vondrousova who's got the first chance in this match.
Half chance, the commentators like to call this one.
The first half chance has come.
Half chance. Svitolina hits it long, so certainly what's now a half chance to a 2/3 chance.
2/3, 3/4 chance.
3/4.
We'll see how the second serve goes. Svitolina puts it in the box, the backhand of Vondrousova. Forehand Svitolina to the backhand of Vondrousova, goes cross court. Svitolina has to pick it up. Great angle from Vondrousova, just putting Svitolina out wide, and Svitolina can't get that.
Svitolina, 3 break points.
Yeah.
3 break points. Give me 1 sec. My door's open.
All right. Well, I'll have to take you through this point then. It's love 40. What a time to have to deal with that situation for James. It's love 40. The crowd are getting into this match. Svitolina, first real field test, gets the first serve in. Vondrousova gets it back, backhand Svitolina. Vondrousova passing shot winner off the forehand. Svitolina was mid-court, couldn't do much about it. And Vondrousova gets the first break of this semi-final.
Early break to Marketa.
Would you call 3-2 an early break?
Yeah, it's a break. Well, it has to be consolidated, which is also key.
Yeah. No, I meant early break.
Oh, early. Or was it mid break?
Yeah, I mean, I
would say early. It's in the first 2 rounds of sit downs.
I would call it early break if you if you break in the first couple of service games. I think once you get to 2-all, it's kind of the set's a bit more settled. And then kind of like you just get the break sort of. I say a late break would be you break in like the last service games of the set, so you're breaking at 4-all or 5-4, 5-all. This is just a regular break, regularly timed break, and we are currently at a break because it's a change of ends. Although having said that, Vondrousova has now stood up and is getting out there to go and try and consolidate.
Marketa is in a hurry,
and she's probably wanting to be in a hurry because she's lost the first set. No, she hasn't. No, she lost the first set against Bushkova. She lost the second set against Pegula. But she has been in 3 setters her last 2 matches.
Yeah, I was still quite surprised that she managed to get through that Borskova match.
The which one, sorry?
Borskova, I think that was...
Bushkova. Yeah, fourth round. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a tough fight. That one.
Yeah.
Really
Just
closely
look-
matched. And
what
she
was
was
that?
bending. She looked really tired. Like
Mm.
was bending over a lot. Clearly
Well, she
tired
couldn't
by the
hold
rally.
a service game for the first set and a half. I mean, it was every single service game. Borskova was winning.
Yeah, it would have been a very different. Can you imagine? Yeah, given the way things kind of worked out, a Bushkova in the semi-finals would be very different. Oh, sorry, gotta go. My time to go.
I think Nick's got his Uber Eats order coming to him very quickly for his lunch. But we are currently at 15 love. 15 love 15 to Svitolina on Vondrousova's serve. As we have a second serve here, as Vondrousova tried to go out wide.
Right, sorry about that.
Try and work out, did Nick order a McDonald's or did he get a classic sort of Kakura in his order?
Neither. It's Amazon Prime.
Oh, Prime.
Like Amazon Prime. It's not food. It's books.
Is it tennis books as well, or is it
food for the mind?
It is food for the mind.
No, I don't want to necessarily discuss the purchase because it will just really reveal how nerdy I am.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe you can take some guesses, and maybe I'll reveal it. But that's a great serve from Vondrousova right on the tee. 15-30.
Svitolina still has the half chance here. Can she get to 40? Can she get to 40?
Yeah, I'd say is it a half chance if you get to 30 in a service game?
I'd say so.
Provided it's not 40-30.
All the old terrible drop shot there by Svitolina. Vondrousova just ran onto that with all the time in the world and just passed it away.
Yeah. 30 all.
30 all.
It's still a half chance, though. It's not the half chance is not gone unless Vondrousova wins this next point. And we know that Svitolina will take her chances. Forehand into the forehand serve. You serve using the forehand, right? I've never seen someone use a backhand serve. That would be weird. Double fault. That's badly timed from Vondrousova.
So, Tamina, with the chance here for the break back, are we going to get the bamboo? What was it? Bamboo, not bamboo. Why am I saying bamboo?
Boomerang.
Boomerang. That's it.
Oh, your bamboo. Vondrousova serves up the middle. Svitolina gets the forehand into play. Drop shots. Vondrousova is running for it. Can't get it. Great job. Vondrousova saves the break point for deuce. Fantastic play. Really smart play for Vondrousova to do a drop shot as the +1. That was great. I was going to say, is this going to be a repeat of what happened with Swiatek? Because Swiatek did get the first break and Svitolina broke straight back in that first set. And that was one of the things I think was rattling Swiatek early on.
Vondrousova there. Short ball, something easy to attack onto, and she bins it into the net.
Not a great situation for Vondrousova. Again, facing break point. She played the last one pretty well. Goes up the middle with that serve. Svitolina again gets it back. Forehand. No, for Vondrousova. Big unforced error of the +1. And we're back on serve at 3-all.
That was tight from Vondrousova. 2 unforced errors at that point there.
Yeah.
As you can see, Svitolina's coach going absolutely mental at her in the from the commentary box, from the players' box.
This is
practically on the court at that point. There, it felt like it was 2018 WTA matches again.
Was that 2018? Why 2018?
Just picking a year in which they had the on-court coaching when they ran onto the court and sat with the player.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they never. I mean, that would be difficult to achieve even if they did allow that at Wimbledon, because that players' box is set up quite high.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievably high.
You have to wheel out a step ladder every time. Yeah, I don't know why they're cutting across. My feed's changed.
Okay, so it's got 15 love to Vondrousova. Good serve there by Svitolina. Although she now with the unforced error on the short ball smashes it into the net. 30 love, or love 30 to Vondrousova.
Love 30 already?
Yeah.
Good grief. Okay, I'm just going live now.
Jake, no worries, you're late, mate. As long as you're here, that's key.
Absolutely.
So
into a great rally here. Backhand to the Svitolina forehand to change direction. Marketa Vondrousova loops up a forehand to the backhand of Svitolina. They're trading cross court still. Again, they're going cross court a lot in this match, waiting for the first one to break. Still going cross court. It's Svitolina who breaks down, puts it in the net, and it's another love 40 situation in a second consecutive service game for Svitolina.
I think you're now ahead of me, Nick.
Okay.
You're now ahead of me.
How have we done that? Okay. Maybe I got a bit trigger happy on the live button. I don't know. I just had to switch my stream over to BBC One because they switched over to the doubles. Forehand into play from Svitolina, trying to save some break points. Goes cross court again, attacking the Vondrousova backhand who slips. Svitolina just puts it in the court. Vondrousova is still sat down. She's fine. She's checking her foot out, but she's not limping. She's not wincing. Just a bit embarrassing, really.
I'm probably going to ask you just to pause it for 2 seconds.
Okay. How far ahead are you? Am I?
I'm behind now.
Well, am I? Yeah.
And then click play, and it should hopefully now be on the same time span.
Well, let's see how we are.
Okay, so I've got Svitolina walking up.
Yeah, I've got Svitolina bouncing the ball at 15.
Down. Then she's just bouncing the ball.
Yeah, she's put the first effort. I haven't paused it yet. I haven't changed anything yet, James.
Okay.
Just so we can see what happens here. Backhand Vondrousova cross court to the forehand of Svitolina. Long, and Vondrousova breaks.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so you've just... Okay. So we should be on sync now. They're showing the scoreboard now.
Yeah, showing the scoreboard now. Excellent. Thanks for that, Nick.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be easy to do that rather than trying to manage it. But yeah, 4-3 for Vondrousova.
4-3.
Back in front, and those were 2 very loose service games from Svitolina, and she did well to fight to get the. I mean, Vondrousova was tight in that last service game, but she did very well to catch that back up. I still think that scoreboard's ahead of us, very much ahead of us.
Yeah, I've had to stick almost like a DVD thing on my laptop, or a PC DVD. It was just to cover the scoreboard slightly.
Yeah.
No, interesting. Free breaks off back to back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I apologize for anyone who may be getting frustrated with the fact we're just so behind. I mean, like, if we wanted to be on track, then we could do something where James uses his TV again, and I'll just catch up. But
unfortunately, I'm not in the room with a TV.
Well, there you go. That's the problem. I can't tell whether you're in a different room, mate, as City puts another backhand into that. And the unforced errors are really coming from Svitolina at the minute.
Backhand into the net there. Vondrousova, lucky on that one.
The unforced errors are really coming from the Svitolina racket, it has to be said. Like, that's where the errors are really coming. Again, and backhand fails again from Svitolina, 30 love.
Yeah, that's not great.
Am I ahead again?
By like half a second.
All right. Cool. Hopefully we're back on track.
There we go. Okay, so it's just
unreturnable serve from Vondrousova, 40 love.
Into the net.
Svitolina is now really in a bad position because, Vondrousova, very, very commanding position in this game. Not like that last game when she was very tight, and maybe she just knows. She's had that last service game. She's feeling a bit more confident now that she's going to be ahead in this match. As Vondrousova gets up and serves out wide to the Svitolina backhand. Good choice. Has to lift up. Great forward. Oh, it's a good forward attack from Svitolina going for the winner. Puts it in the net, 5-3.
Yeah.
I remember she
was ahead of me, Nick. Sorry.
Okay. I remember she was 5-3 down against Świątek though in the last round. I don't think. She came back. Admittedly, Świątek let her back a little bit, but Given how that last one, how one of the Vondrousova service games went, I wouldn't be massively surprised. But Svitolina's got to get some points on her serve first because she's barely been winning points on it. She goes forehand to the Vondrousova backhand, maybe trying to change up the tactic a bit, moving Vondrousova around to the forehand. Now, again, yeah, she's changing directions a lot more now. Svitolina goes back towards the backhand of Vondrousova. The backhand, again, moving Vondrousova around, has to loop up the ball, and it's out 15-love.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. So Svitolina is up on track.
It's a classic cliche, but she wants any hope in this set. She needs to hold the serve. Better to start the second set serving first.
James, did you know that if you hold serve more than your opponent, you win a tennis match?
Bit of a surprising one to me, to be honest. I was always here for the breaks.
I mean, maybe at our level. I mean, if you play me, I am more likely to break your serve than hold my own.
Yeah. I'm more likely to get broken, and also not to break your serve. So it's a fool's economy.
Maybe be equally bad. I mean, yeah. As Svitolina goes to cross court again, moving Vondrousova around, but Vondrousova passes her.
Wow! I thought it was gonna bang into the net, but it just glided over.
Great job, yeah. Like honestly, yeah. Svitolina kind of cross court on the backhand, comes in behind it. Vondrousova kind of has to chop it. It makes it over the net and gets the point.
Chop, wasn't it? That was a lamb chop or something there.
And maybe Svitolina made a mistake coming in. Although having said that, I think she might have found it tricky if she stayed even if she stayed at the baseline. Most people would have thought, "Oh, that's not coming back." Backhand Svitolina to the Vondrousova forehand. They're trading cross court again. Yeah. Svitolina changes direction on the backhand. Vondrousova lifts up into the net. 40-15.
40-15.
She's definitely changing tactics a bit rather than just sticking with the cross court, waiting for the back for the forehand to break down. She's going. She's definitely going much more for the moving Vondrousova around, and so far it's working. The question is that going to help when she's breaking serve?
No,
that
was lucky. That was lucky from Vondrousova.
Off the top of the net, and it just died.
I'll tell you what, especially how highly strung these nets are. It's still, it's a serious bit of luck to be able to get someone to dribble over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the spin from Vondrousova's forehand that's kind of helping her there. Svitolina goes out wide to the Vondrousova forehand. Backhand, Svitolina cross court. Again, really pushing Vondrousova out. Changes direction up the line, misses it over the baseline. Juice.
Goes long on that one.
So, another backhand error from Svitolina. I think it might be worth checking out some stats on that once the set is over, which I can get up. Svitolina serves, goes to the forehand, to the Vondrousova lob, lifts it up. Svitolina, that's a really awkward lob, but she gets it back into court, but it sets up Vondrousova nicely for the mid-court for the forehand winner, and it's advantage Vondrousova for a set point and a third successive break of the Svitolina serve.
Jeez. This is not how I expected the match to be going.
No, I thought it'd be. I mean, like we're getting into the rise. Maybe Svitolina's a little nervous. Maybe she sees herself as the favourite. But who does? Oh, what an ace to save! Oh, I thought it was an ace. No, she missed it. I got ahead of myself though. I got overexcited again, guys. I'm sorry. I do that. I know it's not very British of me to get super excited. But anyway, second serve, Svitolina tries to go up the tee. Short return for Vondrousova. And Svitolina goes long with the forehand on the +1. And Vondrousova has the first set 6-3.
Cool. Apologies, Nick. You got to pause for a second again.
That was super quick, that set. Only 29 minutes.
That is a very quick set. We may be over in an hour, Nick. And passing over to next lot's thing for Ons versus Vingy. But no.
Oh no, I'm doing that one as well. So
okay,
let's talk it for
me.
Maybe
a short shift for you, Nick.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at this match summary then. So I'm just getting the stats up here. So bear with me. So I'm not looking at the stream or anything like that. But here we go. You're also getting the same stats on the screen. Oh, they've both made 9 unforced errors each. But Vondrousova's hitting far more winners.
Much more there. Second serve points won, and 50% for Elina, but only 20% for Marketa. Interesting. But first serves in 78% with 78% points won, as it gets a good return.
I'm going to just have a look because they've got some. The Wimbledon site allows you to break some stats down. Although having said that, they're also very difficult to use. Here we go. So they actually break down the rally stats. So it's interesting for Svitolina. Her 9 unforced errors, 3 on the forehand, 6 for the backhand, which is not surprised. Like there were a lot of backhand errors there. For Vondrousova, her unforced errors were coming from the forehand. So it's no surprise that Svitolina was targeting that area a lot more. Although interestingly, when Svitolina's been forcing errors, it's been 2 to 3 forehand to backhand, whereas when Vondrousova's forcing errors, it's on the Svitolina forehand. So that's interesting. You either, if she's hitting hard enough to the Svitolina forehand, it will break down. But if she just wants to rally with Svitolina, going to the backhand's the smart option to just get this match done. As we're back underway in the second set. I haven't paused yet because I've been looking at stats. But Svitolina's gone over the baseline for 15 love.
Wow, that was really over the baseline.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be looking at stats if you want to do these next few points, James.
No worries. Okay, so Vondrousova going up to the serve, goes down the tee. Forehand by Svitolina. Forehand, wonderful up the line by Vondrousova. Literally kisses the last back end of the baseline. 30 love, looking to start set 2 just as strongly as set 1. So,
yeah,
so Vondrousova tries to go across court, hits the net, no luck there. Okay, Vondrousova goes down on the tee. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina again. Forehand long by Svitolina, by Vondrousova there, sorry. So that means it is now 30-15. 30-15 here. Okay, so Vondrousova goes cross court. Svitolina with a backhand into the net. 40-15.
Stop doing that. Yeah, very, very, very strong opening game from Vondrousova here.
Very strong.
Dominating the points at the minute. Interesting. Okay.
Okay, so back, just getting myself into position and ready. Up the tee, backhand by Svitolina, backhand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina across court, and it is well long at that point there. So that is now 1 love to Vondrousova at the beginning of the second set. Looking incredibly strong here.
For sure. I mean, I've been looking at some of the stats, and what I'm finding interesting is that Svitolina's actually not winning that many points behind her first serve. So she's actually got the better, the about even first serve percentage, 71% each. But Svitolina's only winning 43% behind her first serve, which suggests to me which probably confirms actually what we're seeing, that the Vondrousova return is really hurting at the minute. She's getting everything back in court.
Yeah, she is. Forehand there, cross court, sliced away by Vondrousova. So it's 15 love to Svitolina.
Yeah, I think we're back on track.
Was that?
We are back on track because you just described what I just saw, and then my stream switched off. So hold on a second.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Technical Difficulties, presented to you by Talking Tennis.
Backhand, forehand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, forehand again, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, long by Svitolina, backhand, long by Svitolina. It was a baseline exchange taking place there, but it is now 15 all. First serves unreturned today, it's been 10%, whereas previous rounds it's been up to 32%, showing the how Vondrousova has really taken hold of Svitolina's service points here.
Svitolina just hits a backhand to the Vondrousova. Backhand is looped up, and it's over the baseline, 30-15.
It is. You are now ahead of me well again. Always fun.
Because I'm trying to catch up, that's why.
As we get a shot of the crowd, I think I can see somebody with Wimbledon armband on having a little nap. What are they doing there?
Well, how old do they look? It's harder to be enthralled by tennis once you pass a certain age.
Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand up the line by Svitolina, slice back by Vondrousova, forehand by Svitolina, backhand drop shot by Vondrousova, and Svitolina bangs it into the net. So 30 all. So if Svitolina was hoping for an easy hold of a serve in this in this first service game she has in this set, she was very much mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. I don't think Svitolina's taken anything off the serve. It is just that Vondrousova is getting everything back, and then she's winning the long drawn out rallies, which is how she's been getting through her draw so far.
Backhand cross court.
This is critical because if Svitolina doesn't hold here, that's 4 consecutive breaks of serve on her serve.
Yeah, you're in real trouble at that point. Okay, Svitolina, she's meant to be very good on second serves, goes cross court, backhand by Vondrousova, forehand into the net by Svitolina. Break point to Vondrousova early in the second set.
I'm seeing Ghost stat. Apparently, there's a 7-minute set. There can't have been any long rallies in that whatsoever.
7 minutes, crikey!
But that was tennis back then. Lot shorter rallies. Not entirely sure to be behind that, to be honest.
I mean, I remember when Emma Raducanu beat Sloane Stephens in a 14-minute set at the Australian Open a couple of years ago. But that was
what a great backhand volley from Svitolina. Double hander at the net, lifted up right near the line, and she's celebrating deuce. That was a critical point to win. Especially like that.
Somebody who's right up at the back of the stadium. I'm surprised they can see anything that far back.
Have you been up that high in centre court before, James?
I have. I was in row Z a year ago, and it's you can see things, but not as much as you'd hope you could see.
Okay, you can still get the gist of what's going on, though.
Yeah.
That's a very confident forehand from Svitolina, who's now going inside out, but Vondrousova's lifted up and over. Vondrousova's running down everything that Svitolina's throwing at her. I really thought Svitolina was going to win that point because that was a brave forehand, but Vondrousova just ran that down with the lefty swing. That's something you see from Leylah Fernandez. I'm always going to say that was Rafa-like.
Rafa-like, wow.
Where she picked that up, yeah, on the lefty.
No, they are still in progress outside. That's good to see.
Probably Leylah Fernandez is a better comparison, but
long by Svitolina, and the break has been secured by Vondrousova.
Okay, Svitolina has not held serve since holding for 2-1 in the opening set.
Ouch.
That is,
ouch.
Had Vondrousova not had that tight game, this would already be. The score would be 6-2, 3-love with 2 breaks.
Already, Vondrousova very strong serve there. Svitolina unable to get it back on the island.
This is turning into a little bit of a damp squib, isn't it?
It is a little bit of a blowout at the moment.
Not expecting that whatsoever. Is it because Svitolina's put so much energy into beating 2 really tough opponents?
They do say it's very hard to back it up after a huge victory.
But I thought Svitolina was the caliber of player who could do that.
Yeah.
She's not out yet. There's only the 1 break, but it's not ideal.
Great
love from Vondrousova. I think she's got an answer to everything at the minute. Like that, I'm taking a little bit away from Vondrousova because what Vondrousova's doing is she's more solid than Svitolina. She's not missing as much. And she's moving Svitolina up and down the court, lobbing her, passing her, and outlasting her, really. Just doing what she does best.
This isn't looking good for Svitolina. 40-love down already on Vondrousova's serve.
Can you imagine how much fun it would be if it was a Vondrousova-Jabeur final? Like, that ball would be all over the place.
Oh, it would. You could probably do a pictogram of like all the ball positions and it would just cover the entire court.
Great hold from Vondrousova. Unreturnable serve. 3-love. It's all getting away a little bit from Svitolina here.
Well, if you're listening at work and you're hoping to get back and be able to watch at least a full match with the Wands one, you may be a bit disappointed at this stage.
Yeah.
Enjoy
They
the
did
mixed
quick matches.
doubles.
What am I talking about? It's 2-love, not 3-love. Oh, it still says 2-love, 40-love. Clearly, that's not the end of the game. Something
that
happened.
wasn't. Oh. We're so used to Vondrousova winning points here. She does.
There she goes. She does it now. That was an unreturnable serve. Kicks off the line, and now they're changing ends for 3-love. I was really confused there. I don't know what's going on.
40 minutes on the clock, and it's already 3-love in the second set.
This is old school grass court tennis when it was everything was super quick. Like,
I mean, can they? Yeah. I mean, I hope the next match isn't as quick as this. Crikey.
I think what was it? I remember looking at a stat. I think it was from one of Rod Laver's finals in the 60s. He won a straight sets match in an hour in best of 5.
Best of 5. Wow.
Yeah, 3 sets in an hour.
That's what you're 20 minutes per set.
Yeah.
That's jeez. Is it 6-love, 6-love, 6-love?
No. It was like 6-2, 6-2, 6-2, something like maybe a 6-3 in there.
That many games in an hour, crikey.
Yeah, again, I think it was much shorter points.
Yeah, literally were like bop, 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 done. Bop, bop,
Yeah.
bop, done.
Pretty much. And then maybe just cracking returns in play, or I don't think they double faulted that much. So I think maybe also, although I think actually the 2-serve rule is actually not a recent. I think they brought it in like the 20s or 30s. It used to be you only had 1 serve.
Really?
Yeah.
Crikey, that adds a bit element of jeopardy.
That would, yeah. So you, like, if you missed a serve, maybe you got a lot more service faults, or maybe the pace was just a lot slower. It's 15-love Svitolina. And now 30-love with an unreturnable serve. She's trying to get a game on the board. She really does
just
not
needs to get a game on the board. She can get the confidence of a game on the board. Maybe she can have a go at Vondrousova. I mean, for the sake of this match, she needs to try and at least hold her serve here.
Yeah, exactly. Just to keep it competitive and keep herself in it. I mean, there have been crazier comebacks than this, as she comes to the net.
What a return, Vondrousova.
And the thing is, Vondrousova's speed around the court, even when Svitolina is trying to come in to finish points, Vondrousova's there. She gets there so quick.
It's like Alex de Minaur.
And I'm watching this, I'm like,
cross court, forehand on the side. Vondrousova just get into everything down the line. Get into that one. Drop shot. Gets to the drop shot still.
Svitolina pats it back into court though.
Oh yeah. That's what.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So yeah, Svitolina 40-15. But she's had game points so many times already. She needs to put this one away. When I say her last 2 service games, she's had game point. Forehand into the net. Misses that one.
Stumbled into that one.
Yeah, I mean, if Vondrousova is retrieving everything, I think she could even deal with Sabalenka at this rate.
Yeah.
And that could frustrate Sabalenka if she's got someone running everything down. If it's a Sabalenka Vondrousova final.
Big if there, Nick.
Sorry?
Big if there.
Big if. Okay, I've got some questions on the back of that. Backhand in play from Vondrousova. Svitolina's had to scoop that up. Drop shot from Vondrousova. Svitolina just about gets to it, but it's still past because she's way out.
Way out of position there.
Out of position, yeah. Just left a gaping gap for Vondrousova to thread it through, and it's deuce again.
It was a gap as big as a Grand Canyon.
Yeah, really, you would have had to that would be a tight shot if you missed that. I would miss that shot, but I'm not a professional tennis player.
Yeah,
there's a reason.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds to play the game. Right, down the tee, no luck, goes long.
This could go very. Yeah, this is all getting away from Svitolina very quickly. Not what she wanted in her 3rd major semi-final. Forehand from Vondrousova.
Oh, that is
Oh.
wild. That is wild. Set up for a backhand down the line, and she decided to go cross court and stick so much loop on it that it was obviously looping into next Tuesday.
I never thought I would live in a world where Marketa Vondrousova would trouble Elina Svitolina more than Iga Swiatek. Although, having said that, I'm watching this and I'm going, if Swiatek had got through Svitolina and maybe, she'd had a better day with the forehand, I don't think Swiatek was beating Vondrousova today with her playing like this. I think the tightest Swiatek was getting...
Backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand again, Vondrousova into the net. A mistake, quite rare one in this match. Takes it to deuce, got the second deuce.
Yeah,
what's that? Contest. Come on, Svitolina, jeez.
Yeah, someone needs to. I need to look at that. Some stats in a second, but
into the net there by Svitolina.
I just want to see how many breakpoint opportunities Vondrousova has missed. Okay, no, she's missed 50% of them. Okay, but she's still converted 50% of them.
Backhand and line forehand comes to the net, goes for the drop shot, just about reaches it, and it's in by Vondrousova. Of course.
Because she's just running.
Doesn't know what to do.
She's
that
continued to run everything down.
That drop shot had so much read on it. It was pretty much War and Peace.
But I think Vondrousova would be, if she played like this against any player, like I imagine if that's Swiatek on the other side of the net, I think Swiatek would be frustrated and losing as well because everything would be coming back and she wouldn't know what to do. A bit like what Svitolina did to her, to be honest. So I don't want to say this is a bad performance for Svitolina. I think this is an incredible performance for Vondrousova. And she's just soaking everything up as Svitolina's throwing at her.
Well,
but she goes wild with that forehand.
Into the tram line. Got a question. James, do you think de Minaur is quicker than Carlos? Don't have the stats on that. There's talking tennis.
Did you watch the Queen's final? Because I didn't, so I've no idea. But they played each other. Like, who looked the quicker around the court?
I would say Carlos is quick. I would say on a grass court, probably de Minaur. I think on the clay court or a hard court, you'd probably say Carlos.
Yeah, that's a fair spread. Oh, a forehand long from Vondrousova. And it's another game point for Svitolina, and she'll take that. That's
if you had a button to celebrate this, I think we'd be clicking it if we could. Game duration 6 minutes so far. This has had a little bit more time for people with a ticket in centre court right now.
Yeah, I mean they do have the mixed doubles final after this, after the two semis. It's not going to be a complete waste of time. Sorry?
They do.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Nick, half the crowd is gonna disappear after Ons' match.
I would hope not, but you're probably right. And that's a great inside out backhand winner on the return from Vondrousova to take it back to deuce. Again, still
good question actually. We'll wait until next sit down. I'll ask.
Is it about the lefty thing?
No, it's just about centre court.
Okay. Well, it's been a while since I've on. I think you were on there more recently than I was. Backhand from Svitolina, the forehand of Vondrousova. They're trading cross court. Svitolina's got the line, puts it in the net.
Puts it into the net.
Yeah.
Jane says we're an excellent commentary duo.
Well, it's because we get on so well.
Going any further? Okay, Svitolina out wide. Just nothing on that. I say nothing in terms of direction.
Yeah.
Backhand into the net by Vondrousova. This is the never-ending service game.
I've got a feeling that whoever wins this game's gonna get the momentum. It feels like one of those games.
It could be a huge game if Svitolina can come through this. And also Vondrousova serving right next after this game as well. No sit down.
Okay. I'm just looking something up, so let you talk us through this point.
Okay, Svitolina, cross court, Vondrousova, backhand onto the baseline, and Svitolina hits it into the tram line, into the middle of the tram line. Of course, another unforced error, and we're now to an advantage, the fourth break point on the Vondrousova that Vondrousova has on this service game. Twirling of the rackets by Vondrousova. Cross court into the net there by Svitolina. So Svitolina just gets herself into position. Into the middle of the court. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina. Backhand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina into the net. And it is a double break here in this first semi-final on centre court.
Weirdly, the unforced error count, this set, it's 9 by Svitolina, 6 by Vondrousova.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what was the question you wanted answering, James?
Oh, it was just more of a general one about when was the last time you were on centre court, that was all. And whereabouts were you?
Oh, okay. I was on centre, last I was on centre in court in 2019.
Okay.
So that would be, I saw Pliskova, I can't remember who she was playing. It might have been Vondrousova. No, it was another Czech.
There's loads of them.
Yeah. I saw Edmund against Verdasco and I saw Djokovic against Kudla. So it was the second round. So I think it was the Wednesday of the first week.
Okay.
But that's the last time I was on centre court.
Okay.
And you were last there on Friday, right?
Friday, yeah. Lucky to get a resale ticket in the resale queue.
Backhand long again from Svitolina. 30 love.
Good thing if anyone's watching this and thinking of going to Wimbledon, if you get yourself into the grounds from 3 o'clock onwards, they do have a resale kiosk for centre court and court 1 tickets.
What I was looking up was goes to the question around when was the last time Svitolina played a left-hander, and you have to go I just had a quick look, and the last time she played a left-hander was at Roland Garros in round 2, Storm Sanders. She also played a left-hander in round 1, Martina Trevisan, but she hasn't played a lefty since.
Vondrousova is 40 love up already on the service games, looking to make it 5-1.
This is
5-all. Sorry, 5 love.
5 love. 5-1, 5 love. I mean, maybe you're predicting Svitolina finally holding serve, but you know,
I'm hoping for the comeback of all comebacks, to be honest.
I mean, that would be something. Well, Vondrousova was just netted.
Yeah. Comeback stocks right here. Cross court, no luck there for Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova. Forehand by Svitolina. Oh, a little bit of an attack on this. Powers it down. Forehand by Vondrousova, long. So it is now 40-30. 2 game points have been saved there by Svitolina. Can she get it to juice?
It's what she would be. It's what they would be hoping for. I think that's it. It's definitely what she'd be hoping to just try and make this interesting.
Long there by Vondrousova. Of course, the thing that could come into play now is nerves for Vondrousova.
She's been to a Grand Slam semi-final before. Surprisingly,
she gets a double fault. We are at juice.
Yeah, I was going to say the last Grand Slam semi-final Vondrousova played was against Joe Conter in the 2019 Roland Garros semi-final. Everyone was expecting Conter to win that, and then Vondrousova just stormed her way through it. Bit like today.
Bit like this match at the moment, yeah.
I mean, these two played the Olympics semi-finals you mentioned before, which I think people were expecting Svitolina to win that as well.
Forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina, backhand by Vondrousova, forehand by Svitolina, drop shot by Vondrousova, Svitolina reaches it, drop shots it back, smashes it, No real smash on that whatsoever. No power. Vondrousova able just to caress it with a forehand across court, passing shot winner.
Yeah, okay, this is not good. So the last time they played in that Olympic semi, Vondrousova won 6-3, 6-1. Which looks very similar to this scoreline. In fact, it could end up being the exact same scoreline if Svitolina can get a game.
Head-to-head Ghost is 3-2 to Svitolina, even though on this performance it's about to become 3-all. Forehand by Svitolina, backhand by Vondrousova. Long, okay. A little bit of look of disbelief. I think Svitolina looks slightly determined, hopefully so. Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova. Oh, into a path. But then Svitolina, instead of actually doing anything of any significance with it, sticks it to Vondrousova, who just sees it away. And
she's not. Something I have noticed is that Svitolina has had a couple of points where she's really sitting through it, but maybe she's lost confidence in that because Vondrousova is running everything down. But she's not going for her shots in the same way as she was against Swiatek or Azarenka. Which is definitely noticeable.
Into the net there, double fault. The nerves are starting to play.
Okay. Here's what I'm looking up. So I think probably the most famous comeback in a slam that I can think of was in probably we'll talk about it maybe after this game. Because I know Vondrousova was serving up, but she put the first serve into the net. But Ghosty may well know this story of Manuel Orantes coming back to win the 1975 US Open in the semi-finals. He was 2-1 and 5-love down in the semi-final.
Ouch.
Against Guillermo Vilas, who did win.
Forehand winner by Svitolina has break point.
That's the forehand she's been missing. Yesterday's win for Lisa, she could have a beer. How many she had? I mean, I feel like she's had enough time to recover from that.
Yeah. Cross court on the line, perfect ace by Vondrousova.
Yeah, out wide.
That small hope, that small window that we had of light in a competitive set here gets snuffed out instantaneously by Vondrousova.
I mean, maybe Svitolina didn't need to have that many because I would imagine her alcohol tolerance would have gone down quite a bit after carrying a child. Happened to a friend of mine one time. She'd had a baby. She hosted a party, had a couple of drinks, less than she normally would. Got absolutely hammered anyway. First time she'd really drunk since. Forehand, is that long? No, it's on the baseline from Vondrousova. Drop shot, Vondrousova. Svitolina is coming in. Slices, lobbed from Vondrousova. Out.
It goes long. Svitolina,
another break point for Svitolina. She's really in this game. She's been in the last couple of Vondrousova service games.
Just where she needs to be, but she needs to convert here. Come on. I only say come on just for the sake of not being biased or anything, just wanting a competitive.
We just want a competitive match, right?
Yeah. So at the moment, I want Svitolina to do as well as humanly possible. Come on, let's see what happens here.
I guess
second serve needed.
We've seen 5-love comebacks from second sets from being one game away from losing. So she's in this match until game set match is called.
Forehand there, forehand by thingy, backhand long. It's a break.
Oh, it would have been a really great winner, but Vondrousova just missed the backhand. Svitolina breaks. Wow.
Challenging. And it's a challenge in vain.
Vondrousova's stepping back. She's disappointed with that. She still has the single break, and she still has the knowledge that Svitolina has lost her last 5 service games.
But I tell you what, though, great work there by Svitolina because she was 40 love down there on Vondrousova's service game. Brought it back to juice, stuck it in there, got her elbows out, and was able to get the result.
Yeah. Ends the run of 7 consecutive games for Vondrousova. Could have been 8 had she not won that game.
Yeah.
Not a situation anyone wants to be in. We'll see if it's enough to stall the momentum. If she can get it to 4-2, that's a good situation for her to be in, because that puts the pressure right back on Vondrousova. I think Vondrousova has dropped a little bit. She has made a few more errors. I'm going to say that. There's a few more unforced errors coming from the Vondrousova racket. So maybe if the Vondrousova level drops, lets Svitolina back into it, she might be less afraid to unleash a little more.
Indeed.
Was she not a break down to Azarenka in the second set as well of their match?
Possibly, I think so.
Very early break.
Well, she was completely out of it for what felt like a set and a half, and then came back.
There you go. Can she do the same?
Oh, good. A good return back.
Backhand inside out. Oh, she goes right at Vondrousova with that overhead, but it's too powerful for Vondrousova to deal with.
Good.
15 love.
Yeah.
And she's looking very good now, Svitolina. Let's see. But she's had game points for her last 3 service games and still lost them.
Long there by Vondrousova. 30 love.
Long on the return. Yeah. Just going for a little bit too much on that one. Is Svitolina hitting a little bit more confidently, do we think?
Cross court. Cross court again. Backhand by Svitolina. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Forehand by Svitolina. Backhand by Vondrousova. Long by Vondrousova. 40 love to Svitolina.
And these are the kind of shots that Vondrousova was somehow making. Somehow making.
Are we seeing a comeback in action, or is this just a false dawn?
Yeah, well, Svitolina has been 40 love up on her serve before, but she's probably feeling a little bit more confident about this one, and probably this is the first time she's been 40 love up, having won at the previous game.
Oh, brilliant.
What a drop shot from Svitolina.
Brilliant drop shot there, making it 4-2.
She holds to love after losing 5 consecutive service games. She holds to love and puts the pressure right back on Vondrousova. And suddenly, Vondrousova is back with the pressure on her, serving at 4-2.
Forehand by Vondrousova, forehand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina. Very good backhand into the net by Vondrousova. That's all she could do with it.
Where is that big? That's the Svitolina from her previous 2 matches, and now it's showing up.
It's obviously literally at this stage. It's I've got nothing to lose. Let's just go for it.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, Ghost is mentioning Vilas on clay, by the way, from my previous story, and actually that year's US Open on 75 was actually on clay.
No.
Yeah, they had the US Open on clay for 3 years.
That's very strange. They had it on grass as well, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah, they went from grass to clay to hard, and they were the first ever slam on hard.
Okay.
In 78.
Drop shot into the net by Vondrousova. 30.
And now she's the one who's discombobulated.
She looks scrambled at the moment.
Is that because her levels dropped and Svitolina is seeing her opportunity now and
Quite possibly.
rattling her a little bit more?
Just about get to it, but it just lands short of the net. So it breaks the 7-point run by Elina.
Great job there. I mean, it would probably be 8 points, wouldn't it? Because it was a juice game. 2 points, then 4 points, then 2 points. Vondrousova's gone long on the first serve.
Yeah.
Kind of still adjusting her dress and getting ready to serve a second serve.
Goes cross court, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, forehand by Svitolina, backhand by Vondrousova.
Sliced.
Oh, too much on that, Elina.
Yeah.
Too much on that.
I mean, that was a really tricky prick up with all that slice. She was trying to inject a little bit too much onto it. She's frustrated with herself there.
30 all. Oh, good. Short forehand. Oh, and that is long. That is long on the
Well, it's
scraping
wide of the tram
return.
line. And
So that means we've got a break point here.
that was a really nasty passing shot attempt from Svitolina that Vondrousova just couldn't control at the net.
Come on.
Here we
Elina.
go. Here we go. Comeback is on.
Is it on? Is it on? Forehand. Forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Forehand by Svitolina. Backhand by Svitolina. Backhand by Vondrousova. Scraped forehand by Svitolina.
Drop shot
by
Vondrousova.
It just doesn't go over.
That counter cross court drop shot just hit the top of the net.
Doesn't go over. That went over. That would have been the point.
That could have been. I was building up for something there. Vondrousova is going to be breathing a sigh of relief.
Okay, Vondrousova goes down the line. Backhand by Svitolina. Backhand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina. Forehand by Vondrousova. Backhand by Svitolina up the line. Vondrousova just scraping towards it. Forehand into the net by Svitolina.
She's going for it there.
Into the net. The disbelief on her face.
She's frustrated. She was going for that. That's a critical unforced error creeping in for Svitolina.
It's the hope that kills. It is the hope that kills.
Yeah. This is a big chance for Vondrousova, game point to be one game away from a Wimbledon final.
Into the net. Hits it into the net. Into the net again.
Oh.
Okay, we're back to juice.
It's another long Vondrousova service game here.
She did the exact same thing in the last service game. She got to advantage on the serve and hit a double fault.
Is she going a little bit too aggressive on these double faults, on these serves?
Yeah, she's getting quite tight on them. Backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, backhand by Svitolina. Oh, into the net. A drop shot into the net by Vondrousova. Svitolina with a second break point.
She's got to take her chances here because that first one, she had the forehand. She put it in the net.
Like it's now or never. I know that technically she could get another Vondrousova service game, but it's better to do it here.
Yeah, you don't want to take the risk.
I do not want to be taking the risk. Cross court, backhand by Svitolina, forehand by Vondrousova, long, and it's gone.
Got it.
And it's gone.
The comeback is on by Elina Svitolina, who looks like she's put herself through the ringer to get herself into this position. Here we go. Here we go on centre court.
It is a here we go. Jesus. I mean, she's still got to win the next point to get it to 4-all, but we're from 4-love down to 4-3, two breaks in a row.
And two hard-fought breaks as well. But Svitolina has got to be consistent, but she's going to be feeling confident. She's finally held serve again. She is one service game away from making this 4-all, and then this set really is in the balance.
It really is. It's unfortunate that she's currently having to serve from behind in a situation where you would love to be the one serving from ahead, but that's the way it's worked out.
That's the way the cookie doth crumble. Sometimes, yeah, she's definitely winning a lot more points behind her first serve now. In this set, it's been 59% for Svitolina, whereas it's really been dropping for Vondrousova. Well, her first serve percentage is 55%, which is not helping. Just getting first serves in, but the second serve of Svitolina is still very vulnerable right now. In terms of unforced errors, Svitolina is finally ahead in the count. 12-14, but that's just in this set. This is already a very tight, nervy, messy match.
Certainly is.
Certainly not quite the same level as maybe their previous both players' previous two matches. Drop shot return attempt into the net.
That just dribbles over.
If you think about how good that Azarenka Svitolina match, which I know is Ghost's match of the tournament, I'm kind of agreeing with that at this point. the Svitolina performance against Swiatek was excellent. Vondrousova against Bushkova was a fabulous match, as was Vondrousova's comeback against Pegula in the previous one. This one still needs to catch fire, but the Svitolina comeback attempt is fascinating to observe as she gets a second serve, but double faults, and it's 15 all.
Oh,
First double fault of the match.
I think that ball was in. I would have challenged that, but of course it was hit with a winner for Vondrousova, so there was no real point.
Yeah. First double fault of the match for Svitolina.
You can mistake her for doing it here, but let's see. But there's no more. Let's see what happens. Backhand cross court. No such luck in terms of the direction. Backhand again. Long. Backhand long by Svitolina.
The
Keep
backhand
your head
breaking
in
down
it,
again.
girl. Keep your head in it.
Yeah, she can't think the job is done. So much pressure to keep going with this. But she can't be giving Vondrousova second serves because she's punishing them.
She needs to hold here. I know it feels like silly to say, but she absolutely cannot lose a serve. Forehand, drop shot into the net. 2 break points for Vondrousova. 2 break points for Vondrousova.
Please don't
tell the tennis world that this was a red herring, Elina.
It was all looking so good for Elina Svitolina, but maybe this, like those 3 consecutive games, was taking a lot of energy.
Down the line, fired back forehand to forehand exchange. Is that on the line? That was long. It was long. So Vondrousova has the break back.
Vondrousova is serving for a place in the Wimbledon final, her 2nd Grand Slam final, her 3rd big final if you want to include the Olympics. Lost to Ash Barty in the 2019 Roland Garros final, lost to Belinda Bencic in Tokyo. Serves up the middle.
By Svitolina. I hope Svitolina's head isn't going to stay down. She still has a chance to stay in this.
That was a very confident serve from Vondrousova, though. And it was a tricky one to pick up for Svitolina.
Cross court long there by Vondrousova. Forehand.
Just lands in the box.
Forehand by Svitolina, backhand by Vondrousova. Got with an exchange at the baseline taking place and sliced into the net there by Svitolina.
That was a sort of a I give up shot. That was a trying to bail out the rally one. And it's a shame to see the run end like this.
Really thought we had a comeback here.
After beating so many Grand Slam champions, she runs into Marketa Vondrousova playing one of the best matches I've ever seen her play. In incredible form.
Into the net, double fault there by Vondrousova.
6th one of the match.
She loves those double faults, it seems. Correct there, 6-6 double fault. Into the net.
We're going to be, here we go. This is tightness from Vondrousova, 2 points away from the match. Goes out wide. The back by Svitolina. Great rally at the minute. Forehand Vondrousova, backhand Svitolina cross court. Forehand Vondrousova just over the net, sliced by Svitolina. Drop shot from Vondrousova, slice from Svitolina.
Into the net by Vondrousova, 30 all.
30 all, and yeah, Vondrousova, life getting a little harder for the Czech.
Getting very hard at the moment.
2 points away from the match, still. She's the one making the unforced error.
Ace.
Oh, that's an ace. That is an ace.
Timely
to bring up
ace.
that point.
Very timely ace.
All right. James, this might be the last point.
This possibly could be the last point. Let's see. Forehand. Long, and it is the last point. Marketa Vondrousova has won.
She is on her knees, hands on the court. She cannot believe what she's just done. Svitolina looks on the verge of tears. She comes up, they embrace at the net. this is not maybe not what the Wimbledon crowd wanted. I think a lot of people were rooting for a dream run from Svitolina, but this is another. But she was playing a player on another dream run, another underdog in the battle of underdogs, and Marketa Vondrousova will be that first unseeded Wimbledon women's singles finalist since in 60 years, and she shows that. And yet again, the women's tennis world seems to be the big three versus the Czechs.
Well, will it be a big three member that will end up facing this Czech here, or will it be Ons Jabeur? But geez, yeah, that was an outstanding performance there. As we can see, Elina just taking on the crowd as they're standing up and cheering like crazy for her. She's done a remarkable run here. A shame that yet again she just cannot get past the semi-final stage of a Grand Slam. But you think, given that level of tennis, that certainly looking ahead to Flushing Meadows, that there's a chance there for her indeed.
She does.
She will of course now be seeded for Roland Garros. She will now be seeded for Flushing Meadows, as she's barely got any points to defend in the next coming months, and everyone else, and she'll be playing all the US hard court swing tournaments in the build up to the US Open.
Which means that she's in a good position, and I think she would feel like she had this was her best opportunity to reach a major final. So I know Vondrousova is just having her on-court interview done, so I'm sure we'll get some quotes from that. But in her last two major semi-final runs, she lost the eventual champion, Serena Halep at Wimbledon 2019. Oh no, wait, no, wasn't the eventual champion. She lost to Serena Williams in the US Open 2019.
That was the Miami Osaka one, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, that was Bianca Andreescu who won that one.
Andreescu, apologies.
But yeah, I would say that not bad losses for Svitolina in those two. This one, I mean, on ranking she wasn't the favourite. Maybe on experience at this stage she wasn't the favourite, but I think given the run that she'd had, and maybe it was difficult to back up, but I would say that Vondrousova played an amazing match today, and that's why she won. She ran everything down. She made very few errors. She mixed up the pace, and Svitolina couldn't do anything about it. I don't think I don't think Swiatek would have beaten her today. I don't think Bencic would have beaten her today. The other potential opposite, I don't think Azarenka would have beaten her today. Those four players could very easily have been in here instead of 3 or 4 players instead of Svitolina. And had things gone slightly differently in those fourth round matches, I can't think of anyone who would have lived with Vondrousova for the day. The question is whether she will be bringing this level in the final against Jabeur or Sabalenka.
Well, she does. It's going to be a good match either way, depending on who she ends up playing. Because she showed in that match she wasn't going to crimp or she wasn't going to go away. Of course, there was a bit of a hiccup near the back end of that second set, but she's come through it nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that she should. Yeah, she's done well. A Jabeur Vondrousova final would be probably the most entertaining from a tennis perspective. Of imagine how much court coverage there's going to be from these two if that happened. I think Vondrousova Sabalenka would be interesting in that I think Vondrousova is probably one of the few players out there who could counter the big hitting of Sabalenka and frustrate her, which would make it entertaining. And part of me is like, hey, it would be interesting for Vondrousova to win it because she often gets forgotten about. She's kind of the forgotten name despite of kind of the major semi-finalists. I mean, how often do you think of, oh yeah, Marketa Vondrousova is a Grand Slam finalist? Like,
there's a range of players that we now start to say about that in recent pasts of who are one-time finalists, but now two-time finalists. And as the stat points out there about the 60-year thing, first unseeded player to be in the women's final.
I'm trying to think who else on the field's had more than one major final but not won one yet.
Jabeur's won. She's got 2 finals.
Yeah.
You've got the big three have all got a title. You've got Pavlyuchenkova, didn't she get to the final in 2021?
Yeah, it was multiple major finalists.
Good point.
Jabeur is one, yeah. Oh gosh, that's going to be heartbreak either way. Then if it's a Jabeur Vondrousova final, because they've both been waiting for it.
Somebody's already saying Casper Ruud, of course, three-time men's finalist.
Yeah, I think it's just Jabeur and Vondrousova. And like Vondrousova gets forgotten about because, she wasn't expected to get to the Roland Garros 2019. And then she got injured and everyone forgot about her. Then resurfaced at the Olympics, which I remember her causing a bit of a stir because she ended up getting in instead of Karolina Mukova for the Czechs. And a lot of people were like, that's because she used a protected ranking. And Mukova...
Yeah, using a protected ranking for Olympics, that's big energy.
That was big energy. And she got in, which meant that Karolina Mukova couldn't get in, even though she just got to the Wimbledon quarterfinals. And that annoyed a lot of people, but Vondrousova proved she deserved to be there by getting to the final. At
that stage, you need to be coming away with a medal if you're going to do that sort of thing.
Which she did. And then today, and then now Wimbledon, she's come in and reached another Grand Slam final. And do you know what? I in many ways, actually, I can think of a comparison between Vondrousova and Kevin Anderson on the men's side. And Kevin Anderson obviously being in the news because he's back in at Newport. But it's like, I think when we talk about Kevin Anderson, I think the response is, oh yeah, he got to 2 major finals. And people kind of forget that.
Yeah, Kevin Anderson, he was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah. Vondrousova's all right. I don't think she's ever made top 10. She's definitely been top 20. Just having a look now at the
report, Joel. We still haven't got the two. We still haven't announced the 2 wildcards for that event yet.
Oh, Newport.
Borstad. We know we've got Yilmaya, Leo Borg, Bjorn Borg's son, and somebody called Dragos Nicola Maridas, and in Gustad, we've got Dominic Stricker and still 2 wildcard slots available. Of course, they were given to Dominic Thiem and Stan Wawrinka, but because of withdrawals, they now get in on direct entry.
So I'm just having a look at the stats. Again, unforced error count was about similar between the two of them. Svitolina ended on 24, Vondrousova 25, but Vondrousova hit 22 winners compared to Svitolina's 9. Which is madness. Svitolina won 48% of her first serve points, despite getting 73% of them in. I think those stats tell you just how good Vondrousova was today on the return, and in the rallies, she was the one who was able to finish the points. Not necessarily by overpowering Svitolina, but by moving her around, by she was aggressive enough to get the serve back in, but she moved Svitolina around and then was quite happy just hitting passing shots left, right, and center. Really, great ground strokes. From having a look at Vondrousova's stats, she hit 8. She's hit 8 passing shot winners the whole match and only made 1 error, and that was forced. So really, I think that tells you a lot around how the rallies were playing out. So great result from Marketa Vondrousova. I don't want to take it away from Svitolina. So we now wait to see who's going to be in, who's going to win, who's going to play the other semi-final match.
Who's going to meet Marketa?
Yeah, Jabeur or Sabalenka. And we know those two have had previous. I saw a comment about saying it's over for Ontovich under the roof. They went 3 indoors at the WTA finals in Fort Worth last year. Sabalenka came from a set down to win actually quite a tight match. So I think it was like 3-6, 7-6, 7-5, if I know the score off the top of my head. So I still do not think this is a foregone conclusion for Aryna Sabalenka.
Oh, no. This is a 50-50 if ever I've seen one.
Even indoors?
Even indoors, 50-50. And mainly based off the fact of what Ons managed to do against both Kvitova and Rybak in the last 2 rounds. I have no problem with Vons playing people that have huge forehands and serves. I think she can take them.
Yeah.
Right, as a warm-up, I better then shoot off and let the other person come on. But it was good being on here, Nick.
Thanks very much, James. Been a lot of fun. So yeah, we're all good, and we will be starting up a separate stream for the Jabeur Sabalenka match. But James, thank you so much for commentating so well and doing a great job talking us through all those points as they were happening. Really appreciate it, and it's always good fun talking tennis with you.
No worries, it's always fun to be able to join as well. I'll see you later on.
All right, fantastic. Thanks very much, James. All right. Wow, we've got a bit of a wait before the next match. So I guess we'll probably be finishing shortly. Maybe give us a little bit of a break. I don't know. And we will resume for when the players come out on court between Jabeur and Sabalenka. So we'll catch you on the other side.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.